Welcome back to Edison International Field. Tonight, the Anaheim Angels and the Oakland Athletics, the middle game in this three-game series, and it's turn ahead the clock night. And before the ball game tonight, Buzz Aldrin, the second man to walk on the moon during the historic Apollo 11 mission, threw out the first pitch, and the fans in attendance treated to Buzz Aldrin tonight. We go now to the Lexus lineups for the ball game tonight. Our Howe lines them up like this. It'll be Tony Phillips leading off at second base. Miguel Tejada, the shortstop, will bat second. He is followed by Ben Grieve in the left field. Grieve red hot over his last 30 ball games. Jason Giambi will play first base. John Jaha, the designated hitter. The home run ball working for Jaha in his last 8 ball games. Matt Stairs out in right field. Mike McFarland will do the catching tonight. Eric Chavez is at third, and Ryan Christensen will bat ninth and play in center field for the A's. And the starter tonight for the Angels, right-hander Tim Belcher.
There's the crafty veteran there, hoping that he can lower that ERA down just a little bit. 6-1. He's got to get it down some more, but it's still not halfway through, and this guy seems to come on later as the season goes on. He's a veteran and he knows how to win.
Well, he came on in his last outing, defeating the New York Yankees.
He's got to spot that fastball. This Oakland A's team hits that fastball good, but with Jahan Phillips and Matt Stairs and all those guys, he's got to keep the ball down, and he's got to be able to change speeds.
Tim Belcher making his 16th start of the season tonight, and this is how they line up behind Tim Belcher. For the Anaheim Angels in the outfield, Garrett Anderson in center. He is flanked by Erstad in left, and Orlando Palmeiro gets the start in right field tonight. Troy Gloss is at third. Gary DiSarcina has looked flawless at shortstop since coming back from the injury. Randy Velarde at second base. Mo Vaughn will anchor first, and Steve Decker tonight is behind the plate doing the catching for Belcher. And how about Gary DiSarcina, Rex? He has been outstanding. It looks like he hasn't missed a step, and this is basically spring training for him.
It is, and it's tough after you haven't played in 9 months to come out there, and especially at this level of competition. But DiSarcina knows how to play shortstop, and he has the love of the game in his heart. He goes out there and lets it shine, and he knows that he's under the microscope right now trying to help his team.
In the American League West, Texas sits atop. Seattle in second place. Oakland 5.5 out, and the Angels come in 8 back. And Terry Collins hopeful that the Angels can get a victory tonight on turn ahead the clock night. He has watched his ball club play some pretty good baseball. The Angels have a chance to take advantage of a Texas loss already. They were defeated by Seattle today 5-4. So the Angels have an opportunity to get 7.5 back. We're set for baseball as Tim Belcher works on the first pitch of the ball game, and it's a strike called on Tony Phillips. Another great night. 70 degrees at Edison International Field. The table setter Tony Phillips leading things off for the A's, and a good look there at the 2021 uniforms, the year 2021 for both teams. No balls and 2 strikes now on Phillips. Tim Belcher, we talk about that great outing his last time in Yankee Stadium, really came up big because the Angels needed a big time win in the final game of that set against the Yankees. Otherwise they would have gotten swept.
No doubt. Belcher pitched big time when they needed him. He's going right after Tony Phillips, who's a good leadoff hitter, very selective at the plate. He will draw a walk, so Tim Belcher's going to have to stay away from walks this evening in order to be successful.
Well, Tony Phillips has been around a long time. He spent 8 years with the Athletics back in the 1980s. Back with the A's again. Belcher's 1-2. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
He's just a little short on his changeup now. It's two changeups in a row that have been in the dirt. Steve Decker did a nice job of blocking them in there, but even though there's no runners on, still Tim's going to have to be able to throw that pitch this evening for strikes if he's going to retire some of these hitters.
Phillips stepping out now. Phillips is 40 years of age and still playing some very strong baseball.
Are you kidding me? That guy right there, he's worth the ticket. He's leading off for this ball club, and he's helping stimulate all them young guys in that team.
2-2 the count remains. He's in better shape than you and I can guarantee that. Well, maybe at least me. And
that's what Art Howe said coming into spring training. He said, whoa, who's the new 27-year-old guy we got? Tony Phillips is, he's everything Art Howe's looking for in a baseball player.
Art Howe in his 4th year as the manager of the Oakland A's recently picked up an extension on his contract, and I know a lot of the players felt that Art Howe was certainly deserving of that. Belcher's 2-2. On the ground to the right side. Big Mo has it. He'll take it himself. And 1 up and 1 down. Phillips is gone. Good to see Big Mo back at first base.
He'll be the first to tell you he's happy to be back out there. He's not into that being a one-dimensional player sitting on the pine waiting for your chance to hit. You just kind of don't feel like you're in the game, but he's happy to be out there working his pitchers and all.
That is one big Angels logo right there across the chest of Mo Vaughn.
What a billboard.
Here's Miguel Tejada now to step in for the Oakland A's. 1 out, nobody on. The Angels have won late the last 2 nights in Seattle on Thursday and here last night. Bouncing ball back up the middle. Here is DiSarcina. And there are 2 outs. Gary DiSarcina with a routine play.
Steady as she goes, and Gary DiSarcina in the year 2021 will be called the intermediate station. That's where he'll be playing.
Is that the official terminology?
For shortstop.
The intermediate stationist would be Gary DiSarcina.
Thank you.
We're in the year 2021 tonight. Turn ahead the clock night at Edison Field. Ben Grieve the batter with 2 outs. And Belcher misses low and outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Ben Grieve starting to turn things around now. He got off to a slow start his sophomore season in the big leagues. But the month of June has been very kind. Belcher missing outside 2-0.
He's quite the young player. He's got the perfect build. He's tall and he's got long muscles, and that's good for hitting. Good extension. Baseball players don't have to be stocky and have big muscles. You just got to be lean and have a good stretch program and go out there and let your hands do the work.
Belcher behind 3-0 now. Grieve the 1998 Rookie of the Year in the American League. Jason Giambi waiting in the on-deck circle. Belcher's 3-0 is a strike. Well, Grieve a #1 pick. His dad Tom Grieve was a #1 pick some years back of the Washington Senators, and the only father-son combination ever to achieve that, #1 picks. Here's a drive hit deep to right field. Backing up Palmeiro, and forget about this one. It's into the pavilion and right. A galactical blast off the bat of Ben Grieve, and the A's lead 1-0. Well, there is that swing of Ben Grieve that really has come around in the month of June. On May 19th, he was batting only .131, but he's batting that no longer.
And this is a high fastball Belcher gets, and wow, he gives him, serves it up, and what a galactical blast. There should be tracer burns on those outfielders out there. Here's the pitch tracks, and it's out of the zone, way up. It was about under his armpits, and he still is able to get the underside. Able to drive it out for a 1-0 lead.
Pitch tracks provided by QuestTech.com. Jason Giambi the batter. 1-0, and the Ben Grieve home run is 9th of the season. Inside on Giambi, 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, Ben Grieve had such a terrific year last year and started so slowly, and some thought that maybe he was due for the sophomore jinx, but it didn't last very long. He's too good of a hitter. Giambi has 14 home runs this year. He swings and sends it in the air to center. Garrett Anderson is there. He waits, and that'll take care of the side. The A's get a run. They go ahead in the Ben Grieve solo home run. 1-0 Oakland. Bottom of the first inning at Edison International Field, and the A's lead 1-0. And the Angels Lexus lineup tonight. Darren Erstad will lead off, and he is back in left field, and that's good news for Darren Erstad. That means Mo Vaughn is back in the lineup. He has been hot his last 14 ball games. Randy Velarde batting second at second base. And speaking of hot, Mo Vaughn carrying the Angels offensively the last 2 nights. Garrett Anderson will bat cleanup in center. Todd Green, the designated hitter tonight. Steve Decker will do the catching. Hasn't seen much action. Start number 8 this year. Troy Gloss is at third base. Orlando Palmeiro batting 8th and playing in right field. And the shortstop is Gary DiSarcina batting 9th, and they will face Gil Heredia.
Heredia is journeyman pitcher. He's been around for a while, and he's got quite a few different pitches and arm angles, and he's just not a real power pitcher, but he can be successful if he keeps the ball down.
Gil Heredia making his 16th start.
Scouting report is he's not overpowering, and he's got a good split finger. That's his strikeout pitch, so watch for that. He's got to keep the hitters off balance because he's not a power guy, and he's got to spot his pitches very effectively in order to get these guys out.
So the Ben Grieve home run gives the Angels, or the A's rather, a 1-0 lead. The Angels batting in the bottom of the first as Erstad leads it off. They're in a 5-game hitting streak, starting to come around offensively now, and more than that, more than the hitting streak, he's getting on base.
That's important. Leadoff guy has got to get on base. That's the #1 thing that you look for in a leadoff guy when you're shopping for one. Somebody who's got a high on base percentage. But Erstad supplies much more. He's got power. He can hit home runs, steal bases.
Ball down low. The count 2-1 now on Darren Erstad. He moved back to the leadoff slot 5 games ago, and since then the Angels are doing pretty well. They're 4-1.
That's how important he is. But what he's changed is just his mental outlook at the plate. He's more selective. He's not jumping at everything.
On the ground to the right side. There goes Phillips to the outfield grass. 1 away. Defensively for the Oakland A's tonight. In the outfield, Ryan Christensen, the youngster, in center. Matt Stairs in right. Ben Grieve in left. On the infield, Eric Chavez at third base has really tightened up the defense. He started out very slowly, but no errors in his last 37. Miguel Tejada, the shortstop. Tony Phillips at second base. Jason Giambi at first, with Mike McFarland catching. The right-hander Gil Heredia. Eric Chavez second right now in fielding percentage. Among all American League third basemen, only Travis Fryman is above Chavez. As Randy Velarde takes a strike.
Good young talented players coming up now. 21 years old. Third baseman. Randy Velarde's got the body of a 21-year-old. I'm going to tell you, he takes a lot of pride in it, works it, because that's what keeps him on the field. You've got to be able to have healthy bodies. He trains it. He is on for a tremendous season so far if he can continue to stay healthy.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Randy Velarde. Well, even Rex, when he was injured, he kept the rest of his body in shape, and he waited for that elbow to get better, at least give him an opportunity to get healthy and rehab the elbow, but the rest of the body stayed in shape.
Those 68 games this year, I mean, that's at most since '96. It's been a while ago.
Heredia's 1-2 pitch, and it just missed. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, when he came over from the Yankees, he was hoping to play full time. He got that opportunity in 1996, but then the injuries hit, and the last 2 years have been very frustrating. Randy was able to come back late last season. Here's a ball hit towards short, backhanded by Tejada. Long throw, got it. Nice play by Tejada, showing off a terrific throwing arm. He went deep to the hole. And here's a guy that is really one of the young up-and-comers at shortstop.
Look at him move, staying low to the ground. You got to get your feet to plant it and get on top and make a throw. And he's got all the tools. He's got range, speed. He's got a good throwing arm here. Look at him. He takes his time. You've got to get your feet under you, or the ball will sail. Makes a good throw over there. What a nice camera angle that was. And he is going to be a talent for years to come. Tim Raines really likes him, and Raines has been around a long time. He's got some pop offensively as well.
He is only 23 years of age. As Mo Vaughn stands in, 1 ball and no strikes. You know, Tejada last year committed a total of 26 errors, but he's still very young, and they're hopeful that he will tighten up the defense. Mo Vaughn has been big the last couple of nights. Here's a strike called by home plate umpire Rocky Rowe tonight.
He's big every night. Just having him around. Got to have a guy like that. He's a good leader in the clubhouse, and when he's not hitting, he's still doing his work. If he's not out at Disneyland working the kids or involved in the RBI league, he's a very valuable part of this team.
Into shallow left field, and a sliding catch, and a terrific play by Chavez. They had the shift on for Vaughn, but a great sliding play by Eric Chavez. So the Angels are down 1-2-3 in the first. We go to the second inning. 1-0 Oakland. Game 2 in this 3-game series between the A's and the Angels. Oakland ahead 1-0. The Ben Grieve home run in the first inning. It's the year 2021 tonight at the ballpark. And now here are the baseball lingo that you need to familiar yourself with tonight. Fans are referred to as earthlings tonight because it's the year 2021. Home runs are galactical blasts, and we saw one from Ben Grieve. Now my favorite, the holding pen for the bullpen, or the stationed up for the on-deck batter.
I like that.
You like these?
I like the holding pen.
John Jaha leads it off, and he takes the ball outside, 1-0. Boy, Jaha has been a great pickup for the Oakland A's. He was injured most of last year. The home run numbers really picking up in the last 8 games. 2 balls and no strikes.
We can see how quiet he is at home. He just stands there. He doesn't have a lot of motion working, and he's very strong. Big guy, likes the ball up, and he likes fastballs. Belcher's going to have to be careful with him. He likes it middle, in, and up. He can hit the ball a long ways.
Belcher falls behind, 3 balls and no strikes. Jaha with 7 galactic blasts in his last 8 games.
That's pretty much in fuego. He is on it.
You know, he really had some good years with Milwaukee before the injuries hit last year.
I remember playing against him during those days, and he sure was dangerous. And he ran a little better. Now, as you get a little older, it's harder on your legs. And Jaha's experiencing a little bit of, muscle problems and knee problems.
And he takes a walk to lead things off here in the second. So Jaha aboard with a leadoff walk. Don't forget, coming up Monday, July 5th, the Angels take on the Seattle Mariners. The Fireworks Spectacular, presented by 93.9 KZLA. Ticket information can be had by phoning 714-663-9000. That's on the 5th of July against the Seattle Mariners. Matt Stairs now.
He's going to step in, and he's been working on his swing. He said he hadn't been feeling real comfortable up there. And I said, well, Matt, your swing looks nice and compact. And he said, no, I'm just not feeling comfortable. I'm hitting some balls where I shouldn't be, and I'm swinging in some bad pitches. And, hitters, look at those stats. Those are tremendous stats there already for just halfway. 15 bombs and 46 ribbies and hitting 250. Hey, that's in the game, and that's helping your team immensely. So, but these hitters, they get worked up. If they're not right on top of their game, they're going to go out and hit extra and work extra to try to perfect their swing, which is impossible.
Belcher falling behind 2-0. Well, I know that Matt Stairs has been very frustrated because as a hitter, he feels that maybe he should be doing a little bit more. The 2-0 strike call, 2-1.
These power hitters that he's facing this inning, Tim Belcher, he's being extremely careful, and that's why he's walking and throwing more balls, because these hitters will hurt you if you make a mistake. So he tries to work the corners and keep the ball down. That was a nice shot right there on the corner.
Well, we mentioned Belcher's big outing against the New York Yankees his last time out. He's had several good outings this year for the Angels. He started very slowly in a couple of ball games early in the year, had trouble getting through the 5th and 6th innings. But he had a fine outing earlier this year against the Orioles, also against the Minnesota Twins. And that's not a bad offense he shut down last Sunday in New York. He falls behind 3-2 now.
No doubt about it. He's looking for some consistency. If he can put 3 or 4 of these back to back, it's going to really help his Angel ball club, because they're counting on Tim Belcher this season.
Let's see how much he's chopped down off the ERA in his last 8 starts.
It's on the steady decline, and that's what they need.
Belcher working to Steve Decker tonight, who also caught him in that last ball game, his last outing against the New York Yankees. Decker getting an opportunity to catch. Came up as a catcher with the San Francisco Giants. The full count pitch. And ball 4. And so Belcher issues 2 walks to start things off in the second inning. Terry Collins hopeful that this is not the start of a big inning. Dick Pole now is out of the Angels dugout.
Dick Pole's going to have a little talk with his veteran here, and there's not a whole lot you can tell him. It's early in the ball game, except Just try to focus on going after the hitters, keeping the ball down, and use your defense. Let your defense help you.
Well, Belcher recently has stayed away from the walks. In fact, in his last 4 starts, he's walked only 3. And that covered a total of 26 innings of work. So the base on balls have really been kept down, but 2 walks to start things here in the second.
Well, Belcher's got to come back down to earth.
That's a big time setup right there. I should have seen that one coming. Here's Mike McFarland stepping in.
Don't want to send any unnecessary rockets up there. Oh no.
This one is hit in the air to center. Should stay in the park. Anderson is back, still going. Will it? It is. It'll be caught by Garrett Anderson.
And they got a mix-up out there. Velarde's got a chance for a double play here.
Now they've got stairs between first and second. Vaughn applies the tag. And I tell you what, Jaha just barely got back. And they almost got a triple play on that play.
Yeah, they did.
Well, evidently, both Jaha and Stairs felt that that ball was either going to leave or hit off the wall. And Garrett Anderson with a terrific running catch. Garrett with a great play in center.
He's focused. He knows he get that little quick peek down and knows where he is, and he just kisses that wall and comes up with a nice strong throw to the cutoff man. And McFarland's saying, "Hey, wait a minute. Come on, what are you doing? Hey, but you can't hear him. It's hard to hear with the crowd noise." And Mo runs him down. Stairs gives up, and Mo alertly throws to DeSarcina, who runs into a knee from Jaha and knocks Desart down. And Desart took a hit. He got stuck by Jaha out there trying to get the triple play. Pretty exciting.
Well, Mike McFarland trying to play first base coach, but to no avail, and a double play for the Angels as Eric Chavez takes down low. Garrett Anderson back in 1997, a couple of years ago, started a triple play here, and he almost got another one. Chavez takes low again. 2 balls and no strikes. The Ben Grieve home run, the difference right now, and here's another good young hitter, Chavez.
Can't imagine being 21 years old in the major leagues. Playing third base is a tough position. He's doing that very well, and he's learning the ropes up here as a hitter offensively. It takes time.
Belcher deals a strike. 2-1 now. You talk about Chavez and the fact that he came up last year, but this season a very slow start to the year for Chavez. And I know that Art Howe, who has been known as a very patient manager, has had to be patient with Chavez. And sometimes that's difficult to do, but when you have a young ball club, it's sort of a necessity if you want to manage a young team.
Well, there are ways of protecting the young hitters. As Matt Stairs is kind of upset that he ran into a double play there, but it's good heads up and aggressive play, and they're talking about it in there. But there are ways to cover a young hitter if you're a manager. You don't let him face the tough left-handers like David Wells and a few guys are like the Randy Johnsons or whatever. You sit them, so you give them an opportunity to face the guys that they're more likely to be successful. Those are ways to protect your young players while they learn the game.
Chavez batting in the 8 hole for the A's. And Belcher issues another walk, so the base on balls have become a problem here in the second inning, and that double play now really turning out to be a very big play. Well, last night we saw, and Terry Collins talked about this before the game, that Omar Olivares threw quite a few pitches early in the game, and that was somewhat of a concern because the bullpen really had to work hard in that Seattle series. Omar had a great game last night. He really righted the ship and gave him 7 strong innings.
He's feeling that shoulder right now going, ooh, you know what? I'm just not as young as I used to be.
118 pitches in that shoulder last night. Here's another young hitter, Ryan Christensen, with 2 out, 2 on. Fouled back, 0-1.
Tim Belcher hasn't walked more than 4 in one game all year long. He already has 3 in 1 inning here.
Well, Belcher surrendered the home run in the first inning to Grieve, then a couple of walks to start things off here in the second. The double play has helped him out, but still 2 aboard. Ryan Christensen trying to snap out of an 0-for-11 slump as Belcher nips the outside corner. 0-2 now.
This is another one of the young players they have who are learning the ropes. Tremendous defensive skills in center field, runs like the wind. He's aggressive, just takes time to learn the art of hitting. And it's tough when you're young and you get off to a slow start because everybody says, well, you're just not ready. The kid's not ready. I hate that. You hear that for 3 or 4 years. You know, when you're up and down during that time.
Right.
You just have to go get off. You have to have good batting production to keep them in the lineup.
Well, veterans are expected to have slumps every now and then, but when it's a rookie that has a slump or a second-year player that has a slump, and there are some pretty good ones in this ball game tonight, and Gloss and Grieve and Christensen and Chavez. But when that young player has a hitting slump early on, questions are raised. Speaking of questions, Decker and Belcher talking over something on the mound now. And you can see already that Tim Belcher is up with a pitch count, 34 pitches in the second inning.
It's not a very good ratio here, but he's going to try to. I just want to talk about this pitch right here. 0-2. Generally, you come up and in on the guy and knock him back off the plate. I don't know what they got planned. Well, they're going way away on it. Maybe that's to set up this next pitch coming here. That's what pitchers will do when they're ahead in the count. They have a couple pitches to play with. Let's use that up for this one here, and he's going to go with a wiggle one. It's hard with a man on second base to pick the sign up.
Down low, nice stop by Decker. 2 balls, 2 strikes the count on Ryan Christensen out of Apple Valley. Well, Terry Collins has watched his team battle the past couple of nights, and that's something that he has been very pleased with. At the start of the last road trip, the Angels played poorly in Toronto. They dropped the first 2 games in New York, and all of a sudden a little bit of life in that final game against the Yankees. Chavez off the bag at first base. This one is in the air, right center field, not deep at all. Garrett Anderson makes the catch, and Tim Belcher sidesteps some big-time trouble here in the second. Garrett Anderson has been big defensively in this one. 1-0 Oakland. 1-0 Oakland as we go to the bottom half of the second inning at Edison Field. And tomorrow on Fox Sports Net, Indy Racing League at 2 o'clock. Sunday night fights coming up at 7 o'clock. Then Going Deep at 9 o'clock. And Fox Sports News primetime at 10 p.m. tomorrow on Fox Sports Net. And we'd like to welcome those viewers on FX. Hope you're enjoying Anaheim Angels baseball tonight. Garrett Anderson takes the ball outside. 1-0. A's in the lead on the Ben Grieve home run. Heredia was helped out by some big-time defense in the first inning. Nice plays by the shortstop Tejada, and then the third baseman Chavez. Garrett's offensive numbers up in his last 7 ball games, and he lines one foul down the first base line.
He's all over that one. That's up, and he likes that fastball up in the zone. He's looking to get on track again and get hot. Heredia is going to try to trick Garrett Anderson. He's used that fastball to set up that little sinker split finger that he uses for his strikeout pitch that we'll see. McFarland will call it. If you'll watch his hands, he's calling for a fastball in.
The 1-2 pitch on the ground to the right side. Giambi will take this one himself. 4 up and 4 down now against Gil Heredia. Garrett Anderson bouncing out to first base for the first out here in the second inning. That'll bring up the designated hitter tonight. Todd Green will get a chance now against Heredia. Green has played a lot of right field this year. He has struggled in his last 33 at bats. Only average at 257 now, but he's being used as the DH tonight, with Palmeiro getting a chance to play in the outfield. 0-1 on Todd Green.
That's the perfect place to pitch Todd Green. Right there in that little spot, down and away on the outside corner. Because he will rake anything up and in. He's calling for the fastball in right here. He better not make a mistake with it. Keeps it down. It's a good location.
No balls and 2 strikes on Green.
This is the hot zone, they call it. That's where he prefers the ball, all the red spots. But just because there are blue squares there doesn't mean he can hit. He can hit that. He'll hit those blue spots as well. That hot zone is nice to give the people an idea what pitches and what area he likes.
Well, Todd Green, we talk about Randy Velarde putting up with injuries. Todd Green has had to put up with a lot as well, and I think he has to be ecstatic about catching as many games as he has this year, at least getting a chance to play, whether it's as the designated hitter.
2 means curveball.
Got him. Good breaking ball by Heredia. 2 gone now in the second inning, so Gil Heredia, who was hammered in his last outing, gets Green on a nifty pitch here.
Perfect spot. Nice little breaking ball again in that one place where Todd's not able to get his bat on it on the outside part. And so far Heredia is doing everything that he needs to do to shut this Angels offense down. That is change speeds and hit the spots.
Well, Heredia was really hit well in his last outing. In fact, he gave up 8 runs in 2 1/3 as Decker fouls it off. Steve really had some great numbers in Edmonton this year for the Angels, batting .227. Steve mentioned to me when he was called up, he said they basically stopped pitching to me in Edmonton. The opposing pitchers just had enough. He had 12 home runs, 34 RBIs in only 27 games.
Whenever you get into a groove like that, they call that tunnel vision, man. You are locked in and you cannot make an out. It's a great groove to be in. I don't remember getting in it very often. But when you're feeling like Steve Decker, that's a good feeling as a hitter.
Heredia falls behind now. 2 balls and 1 strike. Well, Decker has had a chance to play with several different organizations. He at one time was a big-time prospect with the San Francisco Giants. And you know, the thing that Terry Collins likes about him is he's very versatile. He can play first, third, and catch. And he's some power off the bench when he's not starting. And there's a strike call. 2-2 now.
Farland had that ball hit a little spring and boing. And it just came right out of there. McFarland's getting called into duty tonight because their starting catcher A.J. Hinch had a contusion last night. He fouled the ball off his shin bone and he's going to take the night off.
Fouled off again by Decker. By the way, is that sound effect from the year 2021 as well?
Believe it.
How does that go? Boing.
Oh, but it's fun. And the uniforms, I kind of thought, Mario, they would be a little bit different. I was thinking maybe they might have something glow in the dark, maybe turn the lights out. Let's see what the players look like running around there. Who knows what it's going to be like, but I know you and I will be very old.
Looking for something more spacious, so to speak. Here's one hit to short, and Tejada has it. And another 1-2-3 inning for Gil Heredia. We played 2, 1-0 Oakland.
Fox Sports Net West, home of the Angels.
Third inning now at Edison International Field, and the Oakland A's lead it 1-0. And Tim Belcher in the second inning, 3 base on balls, but Tim Belcher all over the place in that second inning.
Wow, look at that. That is in and out of the zone, down everywhere but where a strike's called. And that's been his problem, but fortunately it hasn't really hurt him. The 1 run he's given up was a bomb by Ben Grieve.
Skid tracks provided by Questtech.com.
He's been able to make the pitch when he has to, and there's been some good defense behind him. Garrett Anderson made a nice play on the wall, doubled up, made a double play there.
Tony Phillips will start things off now again in the third for the A's.
And if he does not throw strikes at Tony Phillips here, Phillips will get on and he still can steal bases.
Well, there aren't too many that can work a count like Tony Phillips, and when he gets on base, he's very successful. Scores a lot of runs, but he's high on the list in career walks. And Belcher falls behind. Oh, no, he got it in there for a strike. Late call by Rocky Rowe. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Tony Phillips has tremendous body language. In baseball, body language is very underrated because that tells the story. There's no communication going on out there, but except when Phillips gets a bad call on him, he likes to let the umpires know about it. A little low crouch stance. He's got some power in there. Gets down low, so he has a better, his eyes are lower and he can see that pitch coming all the way in.
Well, Tony Phillips has some power. But Rex, I don't think there's any question. His first aim here is to get on base, and if he gets his pitch, then try and hit it out. Belcher missing low again. 3 balls and 1 strike.
He will wait you out. You're in the career lead category as far as walks go. That's pretty impressive. He knows what he's doing. He's a professional hitter.
Dick Cole a bit concerned early on here. Belcher walking 3 in the second. In the air, left field. Erstad has a beat on this one. And Darren will make the catch. So Phillips is retired. And Belcher, despite falling behind Tony Phillips, gets the fly ball to left. 1 away now. That'll bring up Miguel Tejada.
That's what I'm talking about, using your defense. You got to be able to rely on those 8 guys behind you. And it's important, especially when you got that #1 defense back in there that the Angels finally have since they left spring training. Last night was the first night.
With Erstad back in the outfield, DiSarcina at short. Miguel Tejada takes a strike. Tejada 0 for 1 with a ground out. We mentioned a very young player is Tejada, still only 23 years of age. Last season he really showed some pretty good power. 11 home runs, and this season 7 more. But that shortstop position is a place that hasn't had too many homers since 1970. On the line to right field, a base hit just out of the reach of Randy Velarde, and Tejada with a single. 1 on and 1 out. Coming up on Thursday at 4:30 on Fox Sports Net West. It's Baseball Thursday. The Detroit Tigers and the New York Yankees. The Yankees currently battling the Red Sox for first place in the American League East. You can see Derek Jeter and the rest of the Bronx Bombers. What a year Jeter has had so far this season.
This kid, no talent. He could be an MVP someday.
Ben Grieve now with 1 on and 1 out. 1 ball and no strikes.
Derek Jeter and Garcia Parra are having a tremendous run in the fan balloting for the All-Star game. It's who's going to start. They couldn't go wrong with either one of them in the American League.
Roman Rodriguez, who's been injured this year. Alex Rodriguez. It's a pretty good trio there. Fouled off by Grieve. 1 ball, 1 strike. Make the call, Rex. If you had to pick one of those 3, now you're only able to pick one of the 3 there, Garcia, Parra, Jeter, or Rodriguez, to start a ball club as your shortstop. Who is it?
That's really tough. You know, I like Jeter because he's got 2 World Series rings.
Means something, doesn't it?
It sure does. And he's been there and done it. That means a lot. Those other 2 shortstops have the same kind of potential and same skills, but they have not been there. That's the overriding factor.
Now the flip side of that is everybody, and the 3 that we mentioned, in Garcia Parra and Jeter and Rodriguez, everybody loves those shortstops. But how about guys like Vizquel and DiSarcina? Not quite the power numbers, but just as consistent defensively, and team leaders as well, which is very big.
Recognition is one of the things that's hard to. It takes a long time to develop that. Respect, that whole thing, especially if you're not flashy like DiSarcina. Gary goes out there and just makes the plays every night. He's a solid contributor to his ball club. But he's not real flashy. He doesn't make that backhand, barehanded play. And right there you see him giving the signs to Velarde.
And there's another walk for Tim Belcher. So more trouble brewing here in the third. A 1-out single by Tejada, and now the base on balls to Ben Grieve. 4 walks already now, and Terry Collins getting a little bit antsy in the Angels dugout as Jason Giambi steps in. 50 pitches already for Tim Belcher. The 4 base on balls, a season high now for the Angels right-hander. Wiggled out of a jam in the second, and more trouble brewing here in the third. Giambi fly to center his first time up, and he rifles one in the air to right field. Hit well. Palmeiro is back. He turns, and this ball is gone. It's a 3-run homer for Jason Giambi.
That's a galactical blast or a moonshot, whatever you want to call it. But Giambi has got tremendous power, and he finds a Tim Belcher fastball up in the zone, and walks will kill you. And there's 3 more runs that just come across the plate.
And the A's now with a 4-0 lead.
Tim Belcher doesn't spot this fastball right, and Giambi's waiting for it. He's got some tremendous arms and strength in there, and he just drives it right out of here.
Well, Giambi put together his best year last season. 27 home runs, 110 RBIs. And he's just hit his 15th of the year.
He came here to Anaheim hoping to get on track, and last night he hit a bomb, and tonight he's going with it again. A rocket.
Here's the ball hit on the ground, left side, diving stop, Gloss. He comes up throwing, and it's off the bag, but a tag by Mo. Terrific play by Mo Vaughn and Troy Gloss. So Jaha has a base hit taken away, and Mo Vaughn's ankle seems to be okay.
Yes, it was good all around. And watch the hustle on the defensive part here. Both guys getting dirty trying to get this ball. DiSarcina dives. Gloss gets it, picks it up, and doesn't have much time. And he launches it, and Mo's able to slap Jaha in the head and gets the out.
Great hands by Troy Gloss. Matt Stairs. And he takes a strike. There is activity in the Angels' pen. Left-hander Mike Magnante starting to warm up, and just the thing that Terry Collins was hoping to stay away from. The bullpen working early on in this one. Here's a ball that's rifled into right field, a base hit. So Matt Stairs aboard for the second time in this one. A 2-out single, and the A's now with 4 hits on the board.
Just doesn't seem like Belcher's able to find any kind of action out there, and Dick Pohl's going to come out and try to talk to him again. Anaheim crowd is a little restless.
Well, the A's coming into this ball game were dead last in team batting average. Their average was only .243. But they have posted a total of 4 hits already in this one. They draw quite a few walks. And the home run pitches.
There they are.
Giambi.
That doesn't lie. Pitch tracks is right on it. Whenever the ball is up in the zone, helps the hitter tremendously. All he has to do is just put the bat on the ball, and it already elevates it and goes into that galactical blast mode.
So Belcher now will face Mike McFarland with 2 out and a man at first base and a strike. McFarland hit that ball to the wall in center that resulted in the double play. Belcher's 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's a guy that was brought up or brought in to this Oakland team to help out A.J. Hinch. Mike McFarland. Good to have a veteran.
Yes, and when A.J. Hinch went out yesterday, he finished his at bat and struck out, and then McFarland had to come in and catch. And A.J. told me today that sure that ball hurt, fouled off his foot, but he sure was upset he had to come in.
3 more runs in for the A's. Jason Giambi, a 3-run homer. It's 4-0 Oakland. 4-0 Oakland leads it as we go to the bottom half of the 3rd inning now, and we welcome to the booth. We talk about heroes on the baseball field, but folks, this is a real hero. And Rex, I think you agree. Buzz Aldrin has joined us tonight. Buzz, you had a chance to throw out the first pitch. I know it was exciting for you. Maybe not quite like walking on the moon, but still a good night for you as well.
No, but it's nice to ride out in that electric station wagon, electric car. It's quiet. It's smooth.
How about that? Kind of like the flight you took up there to space.
Well, it had its quiet moments. You know, we were not the most talkative crew you've ever seen.
Oh, well, look at that. Is this the modern day action right here? Or is this the suit you used?
I've seen that suit before.
What's it like inside something like that? Do you ever get claustrophobic?
Well, you know, I've been inside small fighter airplanes, jets, and scuba diving a lot, where you get down and you have to kind of get used to yourself.
Wow.
Troy Gloss leads it off for the Angels. No balls and 1 strike.
How about when they tested, when you were testing and everything, when they were putting you in those wacky machines that would test the gravity and all that? Did you ever get sick?
They just did that for the early guys, the Mercury guys. It was after the monkeys. Then they did the Mercury guys, and then they discovered you really didn't need to do that. Not for the He-Man.
All right, I like that.
Well, now you speak of He-Man, and you've got to be a He-Man to put up with all the training, I would assume, that goes with taking the flight that you did. Talk about some of that. How difficult was the preparation?
It was very, very intense in procedures, in training for the emergency procedures. Probably that endeavor had more total training, more time spent preparing per minute of performing, I'd say, than any really technical achievement like that.
Troy Gloss with a count of no balls and 2 strikes. We're talking with Buzz Aldrin, the second man to walk on the moon during the historic Apollo 11 mission.
Buzz, what did that feel like when you stepped on the moon for the first time?
Well, you know, there are a few people watching. They're not right around the corner, but you can hear and you know that they're watching, and if you make a miscue, you take the wrong step, you got to live with it for the rest of your life.
Wow.
No, yeah, but it was kind of ironic, sort of, to realize that 2 guys are further away than anybody's ever been before, and yet there are more people watching us, paying attention. And when I came back, it was clear to me that it was, you know, not the rocks that were important, not the things that we said, but geez, when we saw the replays of millions of people around the world whose lives were impressed by that, who witnessed, participated in that, that's the meaning of doing things like that.
Awesome. Now, your friend John Glenn got to make that shuttle mission here. I think it was last year. Do you have any ambitions of doing anything like that?
I can't seem to dodge that question, you know, when it comes up for this 30th anniversary. I'm working very hard on trying to open up space for private citizens. You know, 1 or 2 a year in the shuttle, maybe a journalist first, maybe even a sports announcer. Right?
Whoa, Mario.
Hud, you're on the top of the list.
Come on, man. Let's go. Let's start training tomorrow.
You're on the top of the list.
We got a pitch coming up here.
Here is Orlando Palmeiro with 1 out, 1 ball and no strikes. But that I assume, Buzz, would be extremely popular because there are
well, yes, it would. But because I'm working on this, see, if people were to think that I was looking for a space flight, then my whole credibility would be blown. You know, after you've been on the moon on the first trip, you really don't need a flight in the shuttle. Everyone who's been in space would like to go up again. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, there it is, right there.
Wow, is that where you stood, right there? How about that little spot at the bottom there?
That's a big crater.
Is that what that is? I thought it was the moon's
big
belly
spot. You're quite a geologist.
Yeah.
Well, Buzz, it's the year 2021 here tonight. What are your thoughts? What's it going to be like in the year 2021?
I think that 50 years from the time we reached the moon, that's going to be 2019, we certainly ought to have reached Mars. And when we do that, it should be a permanent commitment, you know, not just go there once or twice. But this is a century commitment. But we need to go to the moon.
Palmeiro.
We need to go back to the moon first, but before we can do either one of those, we need to bring down the cost of launch into space. And the best way to do that, I know of, is to start putting people up there and the next generation shuttle, so it can take 100 people. If it only takes 10, you can't make a business out of that. But it needs to take 100, then you can make a profit. But that's for wealthy people, so that's why I'm working on a lottery. You know, we need a lottery so that millions of people can share in this experience. Ah, look at that.
There's 1 out at second. The relay is not in time. It bounced in. DiSarcina beats it out at first base. Well, you talk about the cost, Buzz. Is that what makes it so prohibitive right now, the cost of a launch?
Yes, it is. A shuttle flight, you know, when you consider how many flights you have a year, which is not all that many, and this year is going to be even sparser than most because of some of the delays in the space station. But let's say maybe $3 billion is devoted to shuttle operations, and if you only fly 6 flights, that's a $500 million a flight.
Buzz, I gotta like your tie setup here, man. I love the moon and the stars. And how about this ring? Where'd you get this ring? That's pretty sharp. It's got a little moon and a star action on there.
Yeah, well, that's a little bit of the past. a little bit of the future.
Like it.
But I'm symbolic.
No doubt. We're honored to have you up here.
Buzz, what about the fear factor? Obviously, taking that leap to the moon, there had to be a big fear factor involved. Is that something obviously you were able to come away with and get over the hump quite easily, or did that take some time leading up until the launch?
Well, you know, a president once said the only thing to fear is fear itself. Fear is kind of a clouding emotion. You don't operate efficiently unless you have a clear mind, alert. All these guys out here, they're the epitome of alertness. They're waiting for that ball to come by. And that's what you have to be in space. You have to be very alert. You can't be thinking about what's going on. If you've been in combat, then you know a little bit how to deal with fear, because they're out to get you, And there are a lot of unknowns. Most of spaceflight is well known. We know what to do.
Base hit by Darren Erstad.
Attaboy.
Threatening now. Runners at first and third. Well, Buzz, what have you done since walking on the moon? Obviously, it's had to change your life, because you don't walk on the moon one day and wake up the next morning and be the same person. So since then, you've been able to do some things as far as lecturing and talking about the space program. I know it's obviously very important. How have you kept busy?
Well, this is one of the busiest years I've ever had. When I retired, I began to really get busy. I'm working on a concept and design of a reusable rocket system. This is to make use of a rocket that already exists, the Atlas rocket, and we want to make it reusable so we don't have to keep throwing it away. And this will help be a demonstrator and a commercially attractive rocket, so that the next step is to replace the solid rockets on the space shuttle. Those are big rockets. We make those reusable.
And a base hit to left center field by Randy Velarde. That'll drive in a run.
We got a little action going here now, don't we?
We do indeed. Gary DiSarcina scores, and it's a 4-1 ball game.
Buzz, you're bringing us some runs, man. You're going to have to stay for a while.
That's it. Jackie said to come over here and cheer the boys on.
Well, a 2-out hit by Randy Velarde, giving Tim Belcher a run now. Pretty good pitch. Velarde goes down to get it. Finds the gap in left center. So the Angels have runners at first and third. RBI 33 for Randy Velarde, and here is Mo Vaughn now, the tying run at the plate.
Buzz, did you like baseball, and were you able to get any radio games while you were in space or anything like that? Did you have time for that?
I don't think our mind was quite tuned into sports.
I mean, there's other things that go on besides baseball?
Even on the moon?
Well, I didn't start skiing until I was 50 years old. But now I'm going through the gates and managed to get down to the bottom of the hill most of the time. But my real hobby, I guess, is scuba diving. It really helped out a lot in training for spacewalking, because there's that neutral buoyancy and sort of neutral floating around.
Now, when you talk about average citizens going up, is there going to be a training course they have to go through and all that whole thing? They'll have to be qualified, right?
Well, but I think
here's the ball to center, and back to make the play is Christensen. Buzz Aldrin, in my opinion, a true American hero. True, without question. Buzz, we appreciate it. Thanks for stopping up tonight.
Thanks a lot. Nice to be here with you.
Buzz Aldrin, our guest. 4-1 score. A's in the lead. Fourth inning now at Edison International Field. 4-1, the A's lead. And our Aflac trivia question tonight. A's shortstop Miguel Tejada hit 3 home runs in a ball game earlier this month. Who was the only Angel shortstop ever to hit 3 homers in 1 ball game? And in the next half inning, we have the answer to the Aflac trivia question as Eric Chavez starts it off. You're pondering, I can tell.
It's pretty shallow, though. My ponder's a shallow ponder.
Not a deep ponder at all, is it?
Not at all. And I know these folks have listened to me not enough to know now that, hey, I'm just a blue-collar baseball player coming up here and enjoying this opportunity to talk about the game.
Chavez drills it foul.
how difficult a game it is to play. When people watch it on TV, it looks easy and it seems polished. But it's very hard to play, and you can ask this young 21-year-old player who's not even in the prime of his physical life yet.
In the minor leagues, he tore it up. Popped him up this time. Shallow right field. Who wants it? Garrett Anderson is there. One away. Well, fans, there's another great way to be part of Angels baseball and all the excitement at Edison Field this season. The new 6-game summer family plan. This plan allows you to select 6 weekend games you want to see. Plus, with every plan ordered, you'll receive a free Nestle ice cream product courtesy of the Angels and Nestle. Call 1-888-796-HALO for more information. And one of the youngsters in the year 2021 with her souvenir cap tonight, enjoying the action.
That's a futuristic hat. I thought the players were going to be wearing those.
There's a base hit to right field for Ryan Christensen. So Christensen gets his first hit.
Badly needed hit by that young man, looking to get on base and start a rally here. 1 out. Tony Phillips coming up.
That single snapping an 0 for 12 for Christensen. Tony Phillips hitless in 2 at-bats tonight. Belcher now back to first base. Belcher threw 3 innings, a total of 58 pitches. 30 of those were balls and 28 strikes. And Tim Belcher trying to right the ship. He has allowed 2 home runs tonight. Grieve a solo shot in the first, and Giambi 3-run homer in the third.
Ryan Christensen can steal a base, so Belcher's well aware of that, and he's going to be throwing a lot of fastballs up there to Tony Phillips because the fastball cuts down the time from the pitcher's mound to home.
Well, Tony Phillips, back in 1995 as a member of the Angels, and this comes to mind because he's a teammate now of Mike McFarland, were involved in a big-time fight at Fenway Park, and now they are teammates. And Hud, you were part of that Angels team. You probably had a pretty good view of that brawl.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun. It was exciting, and Tony got up there and he was doing his usual complaining, and McFarland said, "Man, why don't you just be quiet?" And Tony said, "Man, you know what? I don't need to take that." And they just went at it, and it was. I saw him in the locker room sitting there. They were playing cards the other day, and I said, "Hey, looks like you guys have mended your relationship." And Tony looked at me and says, "I still want to kill him, Hud."
Tony Phillips 0 for 2 in this one. And there is ball 3 missing outside. Well, has there ever been a situation where maybe you butted heads with a certain player at one time in your career, and then maybe later on, all of a sudden your teammates, just like McFarland and Phillips?
Well, you know, I've scrapped it up in the past, there's no doubt, but I never my biggest scrap was with Joe McGrain.
Is that right?
I used to just wear him out. I would hit home runs off him and line drives, and he never could get me out. And finally, he hit me in the thigh with a 93-mile-an-hour fastball.
Hello.
Yeah, and I didn't say some nice things to him as I was going to first base, and then I get traded to the Cardinals. And so they set it up where Tom Pagnozzi on the Cardinals and those guys, I was in the Los Angeles Dodgers locker room, and I was looking forward, and Pagnozzi says, "Hey, Joe McGrain really can't wait to meet you." So I went up to McGrain. McGrain stuck his hand out and said, "Just because we're teammates doesn't mean we got to be friends."
Oh, well, on the same side, but it doesn't matter evidently.
But I was worked up. I was ready to go right there with him, and I turned around, and all the Cardinal team was sitting there laughing. So I knew it was a setup.
You mean, Hud, you were had instead of you doing the getting?
That's right. They got me. They had already called McGrain, I guess, and told him, "Hey, we're going to work with this guy."
Well, the call goes to the bullpen again for the Angels. Mike McNante is up for the second time, and Belcher now has 5 base on balls. McNante was up earlier in the game, back in the third. And the pitch count for Tim Belcher continues to rise.
The base on balls hurt a pitcher a lot because most of the time they end up scoring. Tejada is a very speedy runner. Belcher's trying to get him to entice him into a double play here, and that is done with pitching the ball down in the zone, breaking pitches. Anything down, he can hit the ball on the ground, possibly get him out of this inning.
Miguel Tejada out of the Dominican Republic. A's leading by 3, looking for more, and now Belcher wants Decker out to the mound. Belcher surrendered the home run in the first inning and then walked 3 in the second. But that big double play helped him out of that inning. It was nearly a triple play. Then the 3-run homer followed walk number 4 and a single in the third. That home run off the bat of Jason Giambi, and now another base on balls here in the 4th inning.
Steve Decker hasn't worked with Tim Belcher very much, so they're trying to get the communication lines all cleared up.
This one is popped up foul. And ahead in the count now is Belcher. 0-2 on Miguel Tejada. Art Howe, the manager of the Oakland A's, his 4th season. He spent 5 years managing the Houston Astros, so he has something in common with Terry Collins. Both were at the helm at one time of the Houston Astros. Art was a pretty good football player in college, as well as a baseball player at Wyoming. This ball is hit in the air to right field. Palmeiro is back. And the catch is made. Both runners will tag. Advancing to third on the play is Christensen. And holding at first base, Tony Phillips. 2 outs now. Ben Greaves stepping in. And back in the first inning.
Watch where this pitch is. It's up around his neck. He's able to use his top hand and drop it on there and sends that galactic blast to the earthlings that are out there in the bleachers.
You're really getting into this 2021, aren't you?
Well, hey, this is the night.
Ben Greaves' 9th home run of the year came back in the first. 1 ball and no strikes.
We just had a man sitting next to us that walked on the moon.
Hard to believe, isn't it?
That's unbelievable. I think I'd have came out of that module, whatever they were in, dropped down and did a couple push-ups for the people back home.
Yes, I know you would. Oh, they've got the man picked up at first. The play worked. Coming home, Christensen. Vaughn will throw to the plate. Decker will run back Christensen now. Gloss gives it up, and the tag is made out at home plate. Tim Belcher records the final out, and some hustle by the Angels right-hander. No runs in the inning. They leave a man. 4-1 A's. Oakland ahead 4-1. We go to the bottom half of the 4th inning. Ryan Christensen tagged out at home plate, and really a heads-up play by Tim Belcher, a play that finally worked.
And that play is done to try to deceive the runner, and Tony Phillips took off running, and Mo Vaughn is tracking him, makes a good throw on the run, and Decker's job is to run him all the way back, and Gloss needs to give it up now. He gives it up a little bit too late and almost gets his starting pitcher hurt there. And Belcher shows Rocky Road the ball. And he gets him. The Angels get out of a potentially dangerous situation.
Well, very few times do you see that play work, as Garrett Anderson leads it off, but Belcher really sold it well, and that's obviously the key.
Good acting job, and Tony Phillips, the first base runner, was wanting to steal on the pitch, and that's what that does. He goes on first movement of the pitcher. And that Belcher's first movement was kind of deceiving. To step to third, it caught him off balance, and it got him off the hook.
Garrett Anderson 0 for 1. On the ground to the right side, under the glove of Jason Giambi into right field. So the Angels down by 3 runs. Get the leadoff man aboard. Our Aflac trivia question tonight. A's shortstop Miguel Tejada hit 3 home runs in a ball game earlier this month. Who is the only Angel shortstop to ever hit 3 homers in 1 game?
I say Fergosi.
You are wrong, sir. Wow. Freddie Patek back in 1980. How about that score? 20-2.
He went over the Green Monster at Fenway Park.
26 hits, tying a club record.
Freddie Patek, 5'4" shortstop, was throwing some thunder that evening.
Todd Green, the batter. No balls and 1 strike. Green, a strikeout victim his first time up. And a good breaking ball by Gil Heredia. And the only blemish so far on the mark tonight of Heredia, the RBI single by Randy Velarde. Todd Green looking down intently to third, digs back into the box.
They showed that close up of Todd Green. I just noticed he shaved that facial hair he had growing. I think he's going to go back to that simple look. Tried to add a little bit of flair to his look there, but he's been in a slump lately. So he says, hey, I'm changing something. He shaved that off there. Now he's got a clean shaven face. It looks young.
Superstitions abound in the big leagues, don't they?
All the time. Umpires as well.
Is that right?
They sure do.
Now, what do umpires do?
Irish Mike Riley, veteran umpire of about 20 years, he's a Notre Dame fan. He has a shirt, a T-shirt that he wears only only behind home plate, because home plate's the most difficult job for the umpires. There's Rocky Rowe, and this thing is shredded. He's worn it for so many years. It's shredded, and he showed it to me. He pulled it out, and it looked like a rag. I mean, it was, and he hangs it on there. He was piecing it. He put it on together. He was showing me how he was doing it. There were so many holes in it. I said, "You got to be kidding me!" He goes, "No, I carry it with me everywhere I go, and I only wear it on the nights I umpire behind the home plate."
In the air to center field, off the bat of Todd Green. Christensen is back. One away. Anderson will head back to first base.
And spending time with the umpires like I do is just a lot of fun for me. And I found out that Rocky Rowe, the home plate umpire, and Terry Collins were roommates in college at Eastern Michigan University. And I went in and found that out from Rocky first, and Rocky told me, yeah, you know, Terry Collins is still upset with me because I stole a football of his and never gave it back. And Collins to this day continues to ask Rocky Rowe, where's my football you stole back then?
Rocky Rowe from Detroit, Michigan, and Terry Collins from Midland, Michigan. They met up in college. Here's a drive to left. Grieve is on the run. He won't get it. Steve Decker shoots the gap in left center. Anderson rounding third. The throw to the plate. Not in time. It's a double. And an RBI for Steve Decker. Garrett Anderson scores. 4-2 ball game.
There's that offensive pop that they're looking for from Decker, and Garrett Anderson slapping some fives in there. It's a nice ball driven by Decker.
That's a double Decker, by the way.
Believe it. He's got the backside of it, and Heredia leaves it up. It's not bad, but Decker finds a hole. That'll drive in a Speedy Anderson all the way from first base. Watch him bringing the mail home, and Larry Boa keeps him going, and Garrett with a nice slide. Home safely.
Conversation on the mound now after the Decker double to make the lead now 4-2. The pitching coach Rick Peterson is out to have a chat with Gil Heredia. It's the 5th hit of the ball game now for the Angels, each side with 5 hits. Here is Troy Gloss now to try and pick up an RBI. Well, Heredia started this ball game by retiring the first 7 batters he faced before Palmeiro singled back in the 3rd. And he picked up a couple of great defensive plays in that first inning. But now Gloss has a chance to slice into that lead a little bit more. It's 4-2. On the ground towards short, Tejada. He'll gun him down at first base. Advancing to third is Decker. 2 outs now.
So after listening to Rocky Rowe, the home plate umpire's story, I had to go in last night and talk to Terry Collins about his roommate. And by the way, Rocky Rowe said that Terry Collins was an absolute slob.
Is that right?
He said they had to pick up for him all the time in his room. And so I went into Terry's office last night and I said, hey, your buddy Rocky Rowe said you were a slob. And he goes, that's not the truth. And I opened up a can of worms, and Terry Collins told me some great stories. Monday Night Football, they'd be sitting there, and in college they didn't have any money to wager anything on who's going to win what. So their wager was, and they were in Michigan where it was cold and there was a lot of snow on their balcony.
Here's the ball driven deep to right. It is hooking and landing. Foul just outside of the pole. Man, was that close, and almost the 2nd big league home run for Orlando Palmeiro.
Oh, we were up here blowing on that, trying to keep it fair, but it was a nice ball, and he tries to get the head out here, and watch Orlando muscling up, showing some pop. Oh, and he thumped McFarland in the head for the second night in a row. He hit McFarland. And that just hooks by the pole. But anyway, getting back to my story about Rocky Rowe, they had a bet. Rocky Rowe lost, and they said, okay, what you got to do, Rocky? There's 4 feet of snow out there. You got to go out on the balcony, and you got to do it naked. You got to stand in the snow naked.
Oh no.
Yeah, and so when he went out there, Terry Collins shut the door and locked it and shut all the drapes and everything. and he walked outside and started banging the pots and pans so it would attract attention, so they would look at Rocky up there.
Oh,
that's cold. Now, of course, Rocky was a little bit slimmer back in those days, and he was the first one to tell me that.
And he still speaks to Terry. That's amazing. The 1-1 to Palmeiro. On the ground to the right side, base hit. Orlando Palmeiro with a 2-out single. Decker scores. It's a 4-3 ball game. So Palmeiro, after just missing his second big league home run, comes up with a 2-out single. And the Angels have their 6th hit, this one by Orlando.
They're right back in the game, and here's another super sub. Orlando Palmeiro finding a hole there past Phillips, and that drives in another run. The Angels are back in this ball game.
10th RBI for Palmeiro on the season now. He's trying to get the attention of Larry Bullock. Please run through the signs again. Gary DiSarcina, the hitter. 1 ball and no strikes. There is some activity for the Oakland A's. Brad Rigby is the right-hander. So Heredia, after having an easy first and second, has run into some trouble in the 3rd and 4th. The Angels have come back the last 2 nights. How about tonight?
They're used to doing it. They've been kind of laying low early in the games, and then they try to pour it on at the end, and that's fine. Any way to get a win.
Well, Tim Belcher now has watched his ball club battle back. It's a 1-run ball game. And right now the tying run at first base. Gary DiSarcina, the man that was lifted the last 2 nights for a pinch hitter late in the game. On the ground towards short. Tejada sliding to his right, throws to second, and they get the force. Just got it, but the Angels are back into the ball game now. Decker doubles in a run. Palmeiro singles one in. 4-3 Oakland. Well, the Angels are right back into the ball game, 4-3. Tim Belcher warming up between innings. Evidently, he's going to be taken out of the ball game now. I don't know if Tim might have a blister that may be acting up, but he took his warm-up pitches, and he did it quite slowly. And after he finished up warming up, he started walking toward the Angels bench. Terry Collins met him, and so the Angels will make a pitching change. Back with more, with the A's leading the Angels 4-3.
Where's everyone going? They're out enjoying the California summer. You can too, because right now select buyers with preferred credit can get 0 down and no payments for 6 months. Or select buyers with preferred credit can get 0% short-term financing. The choice is yours. Just pick your favorite Jeep vehicle, then pick your favorite finance option. Once everyone's in agreement, head to your Jeep dealer. Then head out.
Hey, everyone's talking about chicken. Chicken's a popular word, but anywhere you go, you're bound to find a chicken ain't nothing but a bird.
Craving our tender, mouth-watering chicken sandwich? At just 99 cents for a short time, there ain't nothing like it. Burger King. When you have it your way, it just tastes better.
If you strive for perfection, but do it without heart, your work will have no soul. If you embrace technology, but do it blindly, you may find less freedom, not more. If you drive one of the best cars, but think it could be better, you're not driving an RL from Acura.
Angels baseball on Fox Sports Net West is brought to you by Aflac, insuring over 40 million people worldwide. By Gatorade Thirst Quencher, when you need a little something extra when it counts the most. Gatorade, is it in you? And by Acura, where luxury and performance come together like never before. Beautiful night at Edison International Field, and right now the Oakland A's leading the Angels by a score of 4-3. Tim Belcher has departed the scene. And Mike Magnante is the new pitcher for the Angels out of the bullpen. And Belcher, as we mentioned, Rex, warming up, took all of his pitches, it appeared, and then kind of walked toward the Angels dugout and left the ball game.
Just kind of walked off. I got to believe that I don't think it was an arm problem here. When Terry Collins met him around the third base chalk line, they were looking at his fingers, so he probably had developed a blister, which is very common for pitchers that throw a lot of breaking balls and stuff. And it's difficult to throw when you have a blister. Even there were times when you clipped your fingernails too tight or whatever, that even that little bit of pain in your fingers affected you when you gripped the baseball.
Well, the Angels right now have enough injuries. Ken Hill had to leave his last outing. And Tim Belcher departs after 4 innings tonight. And Mike Magnante takes over. Ben Grieve will start things off. Breaking ball is in there, 0-1. Ben Grieve, a solo home run back in the first. He walked his last time up. He has scored twice tonight. Missing inside is Magnante. 1 ball and 1 strike. Grieve now with 9 home runs. Magnante's 1-1. I mentioned that Mike Magnante making appearance number 24, 1-1 record. The 2-1 pitch. Hit on the ground to the right side. Vaughn will backhand. Underhand toss to Magnante for the out. And they retired Grieve for the first time in this ball game. 3-1. Jason Giambi will step in, and back in the third, Giambi with a big blast, a 3-run shot off Tim Belcher.
Ooh, that was loud. He let the fastball up, and Giambi, big strong man, can drive that ball out, and that's exactly what he did. And he's coming back in here now, but he is facing a good left-handed pitcher in Mike Magnante, who's got a big sweeping curveball that he starts way outside, actually behind the hitter's back, and he breaks it off across the plate on the outside part. Very effective. He throws a good, he has a good spotting fastball he uses.
2 balls and no strikes.
Now Loss will drop down and throw a little sidearm action, which even deceives the batter more.
Well, that home run by Giambi against Belcher back in the third, the 5th in only 24 career at bats against Tim Belcher. Last night Giambi also homering. He hit his 5th against Omar Oliveras, so this has been a pretty good series for the West Covina native Jason Giambi. Magnante misses high and walks Giambi on 4 straight. Boy, the base on balls have been a problem tonight for the Angels. 5 for Tim Belcher and now 1 for Magnante.
He's going to have to be careful here with John Jaha coming up, who's a good power hitter and likes left-handed pitchers. Magnante is going to have to try to keep him off balance, show him a fastball inside, but you got to come way in. You can't leave it out over or he'll hurt it.
John Jaha, the batter. No balls and 1 strike. I mentioned the 6 walks. Only 1 of those has come around to score.
Well, that's fortunate for Tim Belcher, who left with an apparent blister on his pitching finger early this inning. Actually, before the inning even started, and Mike Magnante gets 2 quick strikes on John Jaha, which is really good to get ahead of a big strong hitter like this. Now you might see him throwing a changeup and maybe some of those curveballs, but down and away, not across the plate. Decker's calling for a fastball away.
Back to first goes Magnante. Talked about Ken Hill and how he had to leave his last start early. Ken Hill today played catch, felt a little bit better, He'll throw on the side tomorrow. He'll be reevaluated after throwing tomorrow, and that's when they'll make the decision on Monday's start. They'll do that tomorrow. The 0-2 misses. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That's the place you're going to try to get Jaha out right there. Keep it down. Try to trick him here until you have to pitch to him. Very powerful, and he's been hot.
The 1-2 pitch. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
He hit a bomb off of Scott Schoenweiss in last night's ball game. It was the only bad pitch that Schoenweiss made in the 3 hitters he faced. Just got the ball up a little bit and out over, and a professional hitter like Jaha will make you pay.
Jaha out of Portland, Oregon. Walk and a ground out in this one. Ignante's 2-2. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Jack McDowell before the ball game today pitched a simulated game, Rex. He went 4 innings. They said he looked good. He had no pain. He'll make another simulated start on Wednesday, but he was able to throw all of his pitches today with no trouble, and that's a good sign.
Sure was, and I was out there watching it. He looked really sharp. For simulated games, there's no pressure on really, but he's just going out there to try to get his work in.
Here's the ball hit to short. To second one. The relay. Double play. Gary DiSarcina starts the 6-4-3. And the side retired for the A's. 4-3 Oakland. Oakland ahead of the Angels 4-3 as we go to the bottom half of the 5th inning. And get out your tie-dyed t-shirts and sandals for a Woodstock celebration. Come on out Wednesday night when the Angels take on the Rangers. You could win a trip to Woodstock 99 in New York. Get your tickets today by visiting the Edison Field box office or call 714-663-9000. That's the phone number for more information. Woodstock 99. Here is Darren Erstad to lead things off. Did you go to the original Woodstock, Hug?
Well, Mario, I appreciate that, but I was a little young and my parents couldn't afford a ticket for me to go all the way from Fresno, California to upstate New York.
It's a long jaunt.
I don't think they wanted me to be hanging around that kind of group, to tell you the truth. Now, nothing against that kind of group.
Right.
Because my father was, that was the kind of the hippie stage, and that was just the way it was. But I have come to enjoy going to San Francisco, Seattle. You see a little bit more of that, of those folks in the tie-dyes there.
Kind of a throwback when you go to those cities. 2 balls and 1 strike on Erstad now. Darren extended his hitting streak to 6 straight with a single back in the 3rd. The Angels picked up their first run in that inning. They trail 4-3. But at one point, the Oakland Power home runs by Grieve and Giambi had given the A's a 4-0 lead. Ground ball to first. Backhanded by Giambi. He'll take it himself. 1 away in the 5th inning, and here is Randy Velarde now. Jason Giambi doing it defensively that time. Randy Velarde 1 for 2, singled in a run. In fact, he got the Angels on the board back in the 3rd. Well, since it's the year 2021 tonight here at the ballpark, we can look back, I suppose, Rex, at an idea that probably would fit in the year 2021, and that's Charlie Finley's idea of orange baseballs.
Wow.
That'd work, wouldn't it?
Well, I think as long as it was bright orange, it might be an advantage to the hitter. Of course, I was a hitter, so I'm looking for advantages, but the hitters already have the advantage today.
The 0-1 pitch to Randy Velarde.
What did Jose Canseco suggest? I thought that was a pretty good idea.
Well, Canseco says we should make it more like the WWF and have bases that light up when you hit them. Fluorescent bases. How would that look?
I think it'd be great. How about the foul poles? Light them up, too.
Well, we talk about the orange baseballs, and I asked George Hendrick. Now, those baseballs were used in only 1 game. George Hendrick, the Angels' first base coach, who supposedly hit 2 home runs off of Catfish Hunter. The only game that they used orange baseballs, and George said no, that is incorrect. He hit 3 home runs against Catfish Hunter with the orange baseballs, and
And that's George Hendricks' glove that he leaves there for his protection when he's in the dugout. My old glove. What a fine gentleman and a tremendous baseball player. There's all kinds of writing on there, and it's got little messages here and there, but I'm sure he played first base with that glove.
Bouncing ball to short. Tejada has this one. They'll throw him out. Velarde is gone. 2 outs in the Angels' 5th inning. So Heredia now settling into a bit of a groove after a rocky 3rd and a rocky 4th.
Yes, he is. He's using his breaking pitches well with this right off of his fastball, and he's keeping him off balance. But the main thing is he's keeping the ball down. He'll certainly have to keep it down here. The reason he wants to is if hits the ball on the ground. This season, Mo is creeping up. Look at the pole. They've got the move on shift on. Where the shortstop Tejada is on the second base side. Phillips is over. And Chavez, the third baseman, is actually looks like he's playing shortstop. With nobody on base, you've been seeing a lot of teams do this to Mo.
There's a strike on Mo. 1 ball and 1 strike.
You see where Gil Heredia is putting that fastball, Mario. That's just the right place. It's down around the knees.
Swing and a miss on the 1-1 pitch. It's now 1-2 on Mo. What have you seen, Rex, in Mo the past week or so? He went through that stretch, especially on the recent road trip. At one point was 4 for 30. He broke out of it toward the end and really stinging the ball now.
Well, he'd been pulling off the ball. It's like did right there.
Got him on strikes, and a 1-2-3 inning for Gil Heredia. We played 5 innings, 4-3 A's. A's lead the Angels 4-3 as we go to the top of the 6th inning. Coming up on Sunday night, the Sunday Night Fights at 7 o'clock on Fox Sports Net. Watch tomorrow's Stars as they battle their way up through the ranks. The Sunday Night Fights at 7 o'clock tomorrow. 4-3 ball game. The A's on top tonight. Mike Magnante back for his 2nd inning of work. He took over for Tim Belcher, who left after the 4th. And Matt Stairs will start things off. Stairs a walk and a single tonight. And Magnante ahead in the count.
And I like the way Magnante's going after these hitters. He's using his fastball. He'll save that big sweeping curveball and his screwball for when he needs it. But he's going after him, and he's letting his defense do the work for him.
Popped him up to shallow center. No problem for Garrett Anderson. 1 out in the 6th inning. Now Garrett earlier in the ballgame made a big-time play, turning a double play on a ball hit deep to center by Mike McFarland. Anderson went to the wall and almost turned a triple play as he hustled the ball back in. McFarland has flied to center twice in this one.
Garrett has been making big-time plays all summer.
He has, hasn't he?
Doing a fine job filling in.
1 ball and no strikes on Mike McFarland.
McFarland's really a fastball hitter all the way, and he likes it up and in.
Fouled straight back. 1 ball and 1 strike. Well, Mike McFarland, when he's behind the plate for the A's, he throws out 42% of the runners trying to steal, which is much higher than the rookie A.J. Hinch, who so far this year has thrown out just 18%.
Well, I'm going to give you a little tidbit on that right there. McFarland catches Kenny Rogers most of the time, and Kenny Rogers has one of the best moves to first base as a left-hander, so he's helping him out a lot, I got to tell you.
Foul down the third base line, 2-2. Kenny Rogers. He's had some big years. Kenny Rogers this year 4-2. He'll throw tomorrow night for the Oakland A's in the final game in the series.
And I was a victim in his perfect game that he threw. I was an 0-for-4 victim during that game, and I remember leading off the inning, the 9th inning, in Texas Stadium there, and the crowd was going crazy, and I'm standing on the on-deck circle going, I'm gonna get him, man, I'm gonna get him, and the people were all over me, and I hit a nice flare out there, and Rusty Greer dove and caught it and saved his perfect game.
3 balls and 2 strikes now on Mike McFarland. Kenny Rogers having a pretty good year at 3.80 ERA. He'll face Steve Sparks tomorrow night. The full count pitch is hit in the air. Left field backing up is Erstad. And there are 2 outs. So McFarland has flied out 3 times tonight. Mike Magnante cruising through the 6th. And he will face Eric Chavez now with 2 outs and nobody on. Talking about McFarland and Magnante, they were teammates for many years with the Kansas City Royals. Chavez 0 for 1 with a walk. He swings, and a ball hit to second base. Velarde throws him out, and an easy 1-2-3 inning for Mike Magnante. Nothing across for the A's. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th. 4-3 Oakland. Bottom of the 6th inning now at Edison Field. 4-3 the A's on top of the Angels. 4-time All-Star Gary Sheffield joins Chris Myers on Going Deep Sunday at 9 o'clock on Fox Sports Net. Sheffield still the Florida Marlins record holder in home runs, runs scored, and walks. Dodgers, despite having the 2nd highest payroll in the majors, still beneath 500. Gary Sheffield will be Mr. Myers' guest. Here's the ball hit back up the middle by Garrett Anderson, knocked down by Phillips, and he has no play. So a single for Garrett Anderson. Tony Phillips unable to corral that ball.
Phillips tracked it well. It's one hopper, and he gloves it, but this doesn't seem to stay into his glove, but he's got good range. Tony Phillips, for his age, is really doing well out there, and I don't mean to say that, but he's been playing a long time. He tried the little behind the back thing, and he's saying, oh, I had it.
Garrett Anderson now has hit safely in 7 of his last 8 games. That'll bring up Todd Green now. Gil Heredia now has faced 22 batters, and he's gone to a 3-1 count only once. Swing and a miss. He is yet to go 3-0 or 3-2, so he has been getting ahead of hitters. Now the Angels were able to get to him in the 3rd. As we see the bullpen working, Buddy Groom the lefty, Brad Rigby the righty. The Angels got a run in the 3rd and 2 more in the 4th. Garrett Anderson still hasn't stolen yet this year. Todd Green trying to follow up his single with a base hit here. Runner goes, and it's swung on and hit to 3rd. Chavez with only 1 play, and they'll get Green. So Green is out 5-3, but Garrett Anderson moves to scoring position now, and a chance for Steve Decker.
Tony Phillips is telling Garrett there, man, you should have been out. I had you.
She took my line, double Decker.
How about it?
I used that back in the 4th. Well, when Decker had a double.
She's thinking right along with you. Decker's got an RBI double.
Of course, she had the sign done this afternoon, so.
Yeah, but how about an upper Decker right here?
I'll take it. Steve looking for his first home run in an Angels uniform. This would be a good spot. Heredia missing low. Leadoff single by Garrett Anderson. He's at second now with Steve Decker trying to score the tying run. Decker 3 for 6 lifetime against Heredia. Strike called on the inside corner. 1-1.
It's a nice split finger that Heredia is using. He's being very effective. He's keeping his fastball down in the zone and is able to use the split finger.
We're getting a report on Tim Belcher that we'll pass along in a moment. The 1-1 to Decker. Down low again, 2-1. A sprained right pinky is the report on Tim Belcher.
Well, while we're talking about the sore subject about the walking wounded, why don't we just talk about Matt Luke as well, who last night came out of the game in the 1st inning with a strained muscle in his lower back.
And another one down low. 3-1 now.
Matt Luke has been very productive so far with Terry Collins and the Angels here, and there's Troy Gloss waiting for his opportunity.
Garrett Anderson at second base. Heredia behind the count. And he misses low, and the Angels now have 2 aboard. So Heredia issues the walk. Art Howe making the walk out to the mound, and that may be it for Gil Heredia. Art Howe has that "I'm taking you out of the ball game" look, and indeed he goes to the bullpen.
This is about as far as Heredia has been pitching lately. He goes to about the 6th or 7th. And he's been able to been bailed out by his bullpen. Nice
so the
job.
walk to Steve Decker will take Gil Heredia out of the ball game. Pitching change with Oakland on top, 4-3. Gil Heredia gives Art Howe 5 1/3 innings of work tonight, and he will leave the ball game with runners at first and second and 1 out, and the Angels trailing by a run 4-3. The A's on top in this one as we play in the 6th inning. 80 pitches for Gil Heredia, and he will give way now to the new right-hander Brad Rigby.
Rigby has a pretty good fastball, and he sinks it. He's got a slider. A little bit of a curve he uses once in a while when he has to.
The Rex this season, the A's bullpen early on at least was outstanding, but on this road trip, and they are on a 13-game road trip, of the 25 inherited runners they have had, 21 have scored, and that has not really set too well with Art Howe. He's watched his bullpen falter lately on this trip.
Troy Gloss last night showed some signs that he was trying to alter his swing and hit the ball to right field. He hit a big key double down that right field line. So he's starting to come around and get his overall game right.
Rigby deals home. 0-1 the count on Gloss.
Kind of locked him up right there.
Well, in 2021, Troy Gloss would be a 44-year-old designated hitter, perhaps. Will they have the designated hitter in 2021? That's something to think about.
I don't know, but what a fine career if he could play that long.
In the air toward right, slicing, and back out of play. So Gloss down in the count, 0-2.
He might be able to hit, but I don't know if he'll be able to get around the bases at that age.
Well, how about designated runners?
They don't have that.
Well, maybe at that time we'll have more teams as well.
Oh,
worldwide.
They'll be all over. They'll have a special shuttle that you can go up and go down, and the travel won't be a problem at all.
Breaking ball low and away. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
They'll shoot you right up in the atmosphere. You'll drop right down in New York City. From there, you'll go to Tokyo. Play a nice little 6-game set there and go on into Asia somewhere, and then from there go down to Australia while you're on that part of the country.
Why don't we just go to the moon as well?
You know, and I always thought that was the moon's belly button, but you know what? The astronaut Buzz Aldridge told me that was a crater.
2 balls and 2 strikes on Gloss now. Who told you that, Hud?
Buzz Aldrin. Getting excited up here, man. I had little moon dust on me.
You're all right, partner. You're all right. 2 balls, 2 strikes. On the ground towards short. Tough play and cut off by Chavez. He will throw to first in time for the out. Boy, that's a very difficult play. The third baseman Chavez almost got tangled with Tejada. Gloss is out 5-3. And the runners move up. Let's take a look at this play by Chavez.
Takes a bad hop, too. Watch, they don't know who's going to get him. Oh, that was a real tough play by Chavez, especially with Tejada cutting in front of him.
Yeah, he screened him.
Yeah, just distracted him. He did a good job of focusing. This kid here is impressing me with his glove at third base.
Well, Troy Gloss putting the helmet away, but was he hurt a little bit running down the line to first?
Let's check him out here. He's running. Puts his head down. That's the best thing to do it. Oh, and he kind of coming up a little bit gimpy right there.
Well, that's the last thing the Angels want right now. Troy seems to be okay in the dugout. He's walking all right, but it's a whole lot different to be running than walking. Conversation on the mound now as Art Howe heads back to the bench. Second and third, 2 outs, 4-3. A's on top. Gloss with a meeting with Rod Carew. Well, here is Palmeiro, who had a 2-out hit back in the 4th, and that made it a 4-3 game. Can Orlando put his team on top here in the 6th?
Here comes Orlando Palmeiro. They're going to put him on, intentionally walk him.
Not going to get a chance. They have DiSarcina due next.
I think McFarland's happy because Orlando has clunked him in the head 2 nights in a row with the baseball bat. Well, he's happy that he's not going to have to pitch to Orlando here. There's Art Howe.
Last night they had a chance to walk Mo Vaughn.
You're right, they didn't, but that's all a part of managing. That's what makes a job so tough to do. It makes the fans be able to second guess and everything. And in American League, he's getting kind of close to that corner. McFarland's wanting a strike called on that. Did you see that? He was so wanting to call a strike. Oh, there was. Watch this pitch. It kind of gets close to the outside corner, and watch McFarland show Rocky Road. He's trying to hold it there for him. Look at him.
Framing the 3-0 on an intentional walk.
See, now they're having fun. McFarland's a veteran catcher, and hey, that's part of baseball. He looked at Rocky and they laughed.
So the bases are loaded now, and here is Gary DiSarcina. And a big chance for the Angels shortstop. Gary moving in on 1,000 career games. And a strike is delivered. 0-1.
There's that slider by Rigby. He sets it up usually with a fastball, but DiSarcina's main weapon is that right field swing. And that's it. He likes to inside out. And all he needs is a lousy single here. With Steve Decker at second base, who doesn't run that well. It'll have to be well placed to score him, but it's possible that they could take the lead here with a base hit.
DiSarcina, 2 hits and 12 at-bats since returning. Rigby's 1-1 pitch. 2-1. How long, Rex, before Gary DiSarcina feels semi-comfortable, at least at home plate as a hitter?
He's going to need several games in him. I would say, you know, it's going to take him 2 to 3 weeks to kind of get comfortable, but like his good friend Spike Owen used to tell him when they were teammates, Spike was an excellent shortstop. Take your glove and don't worry about hitting and go out there and field. And that's exactly what makes DiSarcina so good, is he's such a good fielder, and he will come up with a timely hit occasionally. But it's going to take him 3 weeks to get his, to get his feel. He knocked in 56 runs last year in the number 9 spot, so he's capable of delivering.
Very good numbers. 2 balls and 2 strikes now on Gary DiSarcina.
Toughest thing to do after you've laid off, you've been out for a while, is to be patient. You want to swing, you want to hit, you want to try to gauge yourself. But what DiSarcina will do now, with 2 strikes on him, will choke up on that bat a little bit and just try to put it in play. And he's not an easy strikeout.
Rigby brings it home, and it's lined to right field, a base hit.
Hit to right.
1 run will score. Anderson is in. Decker is right behind them to throw to the plate. He slides, and he is, what is he? He is out at home plate. Rocky Rowe wanted to see the baseball, and Mike McFarland is on his back. An RBI single for Gary DiSarcina. 1 run scores, and we are tied at 4. Well, the Angels and the A's are all tied up at 4 as we go to the 7th inning. And Mike McFarland figuring out what day it is. And let's take a look on that last play in the 6th.
DiSarcina hits in Decker, and Decker knows it's going to be close. And Decker decks McFarland right here with a nice slide. But McFarland does a fine job of holding on. And Decker saying, hey, partner, man, hope you're all right. That's all part of the game, and Matt Stairs gets an assist with a beautiful throw right on target. Well, and it looks like a close play, but I think Decker from that angle looks like he got his feet in there. But most of the times, 9 out of 10 times, they will call him out because the ball beat him there. And McFarland puts the tag down. And it's a close play. There's no doubt about it. But we don't. Rocky Road does not have the luxury that we do up here to have that replay. And 9 out of 10 times, if the ball beats the runner to the plate, he will call him out.
Well, McFarland also moved that left foot, which opened up the plate. But the out signal was called as Ryan Christensen starts it off. Well, McFarland is hurting right now. A.J. Hinch had to be taken out of the ball game last night.
And it looks like it's his wrist. Those guys don't have, shoulder pads on or anything to take collision, except the catcher does have a chest protector and shin guards and a mask that he uses for protection. Collisions at home plate are usually end up in injury. And one of the reasons that Matt Luke is out and that strained lower back muscle is because when he delivered the mail on Dan Wilson up there in Seattle with a tremendous hit, he jarred something loose back there.
Well, McFarland trying to get the feeling back in that right hand. We'll see if he's able to answer the bell defensively when we get to the bottom half of the seventh. The 1-2 is popped up. Shallow center field. Garrett Anderson. One away. Well, how about Mike Magnante? He got the double play ball back in the fifth. Got him 1, 2, 3 in the sixth, and now the leadoff man here in the seventh.
He's done a fine job tonight, and he's done it because he's spotted his fastball very well on the outside corner and the inside corner, and he's keeping that breaking ball down. He's doing it mainly with fastballs.
And now the top of the order, Tony Phillips will step in. He is 0 for 2 with a walk. Inside and low, 1 ball to no strikes. Magnante, we've talked about this before, works with braces on both knees, both the left and right knees, and that's because of a pair of reconstructive surgeries that he has had, and it looks bulky and it looks like it might be too uncomfortable to pitch, but not so, says Magnante. He's gotten used to it. In fact, he was in the locker room about 2 weeks ago or so and was looking at some sleeker versions of those bulky braces.
Whenever I'd see a pitcher come out like that, I would immediately pull my bunting game out on him, which is not real fair. But
no, it's not.
I would see it and I said, hey, look, this is a game of survival.
Here's a ball hit fair inside the bag at third.
Look at Erstad attack that ball down the line. Whoa, he would not want Phillips to get there to second base. Tony Phillips, who's got a little more pop from the right side than he does the left side, is able to sneak this ball down the line. And Mike has a nice pitch on the outside part of the plate, and watch Gloss just misses it. And look at Erstad going to the line until he bumps the wall right here. It comes off, and it's tough to pick up. There's a little bit of a 2-inch lip on that wall, and the ball gets caught under it sometime. Dick Pohl's going to want to talk to Magnante about facing Tejada.
Tony Phillips with a lot of extra base hits recently. He has another here with a 1-out double. That is the go-ahead run in the seventh inning. And Dick Pohl now having a chat with both Decker and Mike Magnante. But what a job Magnante has done.
He's done a fine job, and there's some catching up right there between DiSarcina and Tony Phillips, and they're always battling. And those are the best conversations out there sometimes. Sometimes they don't pertain to the game at all.
Well, they both had great years in '95, and Gary DiSarcina's ended abruptly, unfortunately. Gary an all-star that year. Tony Phillips in the leadoff slot provided a lot of offense. Miguel Tejada now with 1 on and 1 out. Big bender, a little bit high, 1-0.
DiSarcina, he thinks I jinxed him in that '95 thumb injury that he slid into second, because we'd switch right into the ballpark together. And I said, DiSar, man, everything's going so good now. You better make sure you stay healthy. If you go down, we're in trouble. And I think it was that night.
Well, way to go, Rex.
I know, but hey, I wasn't trying to wish any ill will on him. But he remembers that conversation, and that was the start of the downfall when we lost our captain. And he's the, not named captain, but I think he's kind of the team captain.
Well, I think so, and I think most of the Angels recognize that. There's a strike, 1-1. That date you are speaking of was August 3rd, and after the injury, 22-36 was the Angels record. And of course, they forced that one-game playoff with Seattle before the Mariners won it, went on to the playoffs. But we talk about Rodriguez and Garcia Parra and Derek Jeter and all the big number shortstops, but Sarcina, a big-time leader. 2 balls and 1 strike.
And playing in the Kingdome, that last game there when the Angels came back in the 8th inning and dropped that 8 spot on them, that was a nice way to leave that place.
It was. You know, the Angels played well at the Kingdome through the years. In fact, they had a winning record, 10 games over the 500 mark. But the Kingdome on its last legs as far as baseball goes. McNante's 2-1 is hit in the air, flared toward left, and a diving catch by Erstad. Phillips better hurry, and he just gets back to second. What a play by Erstad.
He's a tenacious fielder. When you watch that ball off the bat, Erstad is like a magnet. And he is on it. He always charges hard, plays hard, and likes to get dirty as well as have some grass stains. And look at him smell this ball all the way. Fully extends, gets up, and tries to double him up. Look at him tracking this ball. Now he's saying, I can get a double play here. Watch him, and he almost gets Phillips. Look at that determination in him. Phillips is going to get back. The throw comes in and almost, look at Velarde being a first baseman there, stretching there.
Well, that would have been the go-ahead run, because Phillips would have scored Erstad with a terrific play out in left. And that brings up Ben Grieve now, and the ball game remains tied at 4. Well, that's the type of defense the Angels have played all season long.
Darren told me last night as I went in there to congratulate a few of those guys. He said, if I'm not getting any hits, Hud, no one else is. So any ball coming out his way, he's going to do his best to rob him. He did a nice job there by taking that, turning it into a second out here and helping Mike McNante, who's done a fine job.
Only one team in the American League has a better club fielding percentage than the Angels, and that's Minnesota. .985 percentage. The Angels came in at .984, tied with Detroit. So the Angels second in fielding, third in pitching, and the offense trying to come around. McNante misses outside, trying to stay away here from Ben Grieve, who homered back in the first inning. A solo shot that made it 1-0 at that point. He's also walked and scored in this one. The 1-1 pitch from McNante, fouled off. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
That big sweeping curveball is what he's going to be going to now for his out pitch against these left-handed batters that come up. It's tough to pick up. He'll start that pitch way outside of the hitter's back, and it comes back in, and we'll see what Steve Decker's calling. It's difficult. He flashes, but he threw that fist. That means he wants to make this pitch right here.
And again fouled off by Ben Grieve.
Jammed him. He's going to have to go back and get a new piece of lumber.
That home run, by the way, that Grieve hit back in the first inning was his 9th of the year, and all of them have been solo shots. Grieve, only 23 years of age, out of Arlington, Texas.
That's a brand new bat. It hasn't been test driven yet. He's putting on some new pine tar and going to go up there. I always like to test drive my models before I used them. So I'd take up 3 or 4 bats, use them in batting practice.
BP?
Yeah, see how they grooved up. You know, there's a grain on the bat and it can groove nice. I'd test the wood before I'd take it up there.
1 ball, 2 strikes. McNante deals, got him in the dirt. Decker will throw to first to complete the strikeout. So nothing comes of the 1-out double by Tony Phillips. Great play by Darren Erstad saves the tie. It's 4-4 in the middle of the 7th. Seventh inning stretch time at Edison Field. Oakland 4 and the Angels 4. This copyrighted broadcast is presented by the authority of the Anaheim Angels and is intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Anaheim Angels is strictly prohibited.
Well, that was his 7th interval release. That's called the 7th inning stretch there in the year 2021.
And we have the same lower podsman. Mike McFarland will stay in the game. We also have the same upper podsman. Brad Rigby continues to throw. Maybe. Yes, Art Howe will walk back to the bench. Wanted to make sure McFarland's okay, and evidently he is.
I was watching him in warm-up pitches, and he was having a hard time holding on to that ball as he injured his left wrist, which is his glove hand. And Rocky Rowe wants to make sure he's okay too. He doesn't want to let a ball go and hit Rocky.
Erstad leads it off. 1 ball to no strikes.
McFarland is a 10-year veteran who's very tough and a tremendous competitor. So is this guy, who's got a 6-game hitting streak on the line.
And a huge, and I mean huge, defensive play on that line drive off the bat of Miguel Tejada. It remains a 4-4 game as we play in the 7th inning.
Erstad's a very aggressive player. Plays solid defense. Hit that ball in the gap and run, and that's what we're going to see. A little track meet here.
Extra bases for Darren Erstad. He'll go to second and pull in there. And a leadoff 2-base hit for Darren Erstad. Now the Angels, with 9 hits on the board, a chance to go ahead. And Erstad really starting to come around now. A 6-game hitting streak. Single and a double tonight. And you knew it wouldn't be long before we would see more of this, Rex.
And he goes right with that fastball from Rigby, right into the gap. Splits the gap. And watch him take off. He really would like a little more room. He'd like to turn into a triple, but he kind of spun his tires there around first base. He'll stay content there. And with nobody out, watch Velarde try to execute Erstad to third base for the big slugger Mo Vaughn on deck. He'll do that with either a sacrifice bunt or he'll try to hit the ball to the right side of the infield to advance the runner. And Velarde's really good with his bat control.
They're tied at the corners. Giambi at first, Chavez at third. Offers the bunt, 1 ball and no strikes.
Mario last night, Randy Velarde, late in the game in the 8th inning, sacrificed the runners into scoring position. The tying runs for Mo Vaughn, and Art Howe elected to pitch to Mo Vaughn with first base open. He paid the price as Vaughn knocked them both in. Angels went on to win. Fundamental baseball is a big part of winning games. And look at that execution.
Phillips looked at third, but thought better of it. And Randy Velarde gets the job done. 4-3 on the ground out. Erstad sliding into third.
That's as big a part of the game as hitting a home run. Got to advance runners.
Terry Collins loves it. You gotta love fundamental play when it's executed.
Speaking of love, look at all that love he's getting in that dugout right now, and he deserves it.
Mo won't hit. They're going to walk him.
They're not going to make that mistake again tonight because Mo is very dangerous, but Garrett Anderson is certainly no slouch on deck. He can deliver the game-winning blow as well.
Well, this is nothing new for Mo, I'm sure. Art Howe says, you got me last night, but not tonight, young man. Garrett Anderson will get an opportunity.
Watch McFarland. He's really nursing that glove hand there. That collision with Steve Decker. The A's have Buddy Groom in the bullpen. They might try to feature him. Buddy Groom is a left-handed specialist. He comes in mainly to face 1 batter or 2 batters and left-handed hitters. And McFarland has had enough. I could tell he was hurt receiving that ball. And I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to try to make a change. And A.J. Hinch has already came out of last night's game with a contusion after he fouled a ball off his shin bone.
Yeah, he was banged up and was unable to play. And now we also have a pitching change as Art Howe makes his way out to the mound. So the Angels threatening. We're in the 7th. in a 4-4 ball game. All tied at 4 runs in the bottom half of the 7th inning. The Angels threatening, and this has not been a good week for opposing catchers.
There has been plenty of plays as Matt Luke delivers a tremendous blow to Dan Wilson at home. Dan Wilson held on to the ball and recorded the out as Steve Decker decks McFarland, and as well McFarland holds on to the ball. They're both out, but still they're playing good aggressive hardball, and there's a man sitting right next to us up here in the booth, Ray Fosse, who knows a little bit something about collisions at home, as Pete Rose pretty much ended his career with a collision in the 1970 All-Star game. He's a broadcaster now with the Oakland team. And that'll bring on Buddy Groom, who last night made a good pitch against Mo Vaughn. It was down, but Mo, the professional hitter he is, raked it out there for 2 ribbies, and he's facing Garrett Anderson.
Anderson up the middle, a base hit, center field. Erstad will score. Vaughn will go to second. And the Angels lead 5-4. They walk the big man Mo Vaughn, and Garrett Anderson comes through. It's a 1-out RBI single in the 7th inning, and the Angels take their first lead of the night. And Art Howe again will go to the bullpen.
And that's Velarde's run. He sacrificed the runner over. Erstad to third. Walk Mo Vaughn, and Garrett Anderson delivers. That's your run, RV.
The Oakland bullpen continues to struggle. Angels lead it 5-4. The Angels have taken the lead 5-4 on the RBI single by Garrett Anderson. Anderson coming up big with 1 out here in the 7th inning, and the Angels taking their first lead of the night. And a new pitcher on now for the Oakland A's. Chad Harville will take over.
Chad Harville, this guy is not real tall. He's like 5'9" or 5'8", and he possesses a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. He likes to bring it. They've been trying to work him into that save role, and look at him. He's a short player, but that doesn't matter. Size in baseball doesn't really matter. It's the fight you have in your heart, and when you have a 97-mile-an-hour fastball to go along with it, that helps a lot too.
And some consider Harville perhaps the closer of the future for the Oakland A's. At AA Midland and AAA Vancouver, his split time this year was 3-0 combined with 10 saves. Reggie Williams, the pinch runner, at second base. So Williams at second, Anderson at first. Todd Green will bat now with 1 out. Harville misses outside. A.J. Hinch taking over behind the plate for McFarland. Hinch, the new catcher. So McFarland, you were right, Rex. It looked like he was having trouble throwing the ball back, and evidently they wanted to take him out, and Hinch now will get back in there as Art Howe makes the change both on the mound and behind the plate. The 1-0 to Green. In the air toward left field, not deep. Coming in is Ben Grieve. He is there. And the catch is made.
The little things that count so much in baseball that are never recognized in the box score is exactly what Velarde has been doing the last couple nights that have helped his ball club win. And then first of all, it's the bunt. Sacrificing the runner, giving yourself up and hustling down the line. And tonight, moving the runner, giving yourself up and hitting the ball over to advance him, Erstad to third, to get him in scoring position. Fundamental parts of the game, Randy Velarde, you know how to play.
Here is Steve Decker now. Harville missing inside. 1 ball and no strikes. Well, we've talked to Terry Collins about executing the fundamentals, and you can call for bunts until you're blue in the face, but they have to be executed. Velarde did that last night and hit the ball to the right side of the infield tonight. Low and outside. 2-0 on Decker.
They know the scouting report on Decker. He likes the fastball up, and Harville's not going with him. Even though Decker hasn't played a whole lot, they still know about him, and he's split the gap tonight with a double. He's going to see more playing time. So looking for somebody who can hit back there, and Walbeck's doing a good job too, but it's been a little slump lately.
There's a strike call. 2-1 now. Well, since coming up, Decker has started 8 times, 4 behind the plate, 4 at first base.
You can see how Harville is able to throw this ball so hard as he uses his legs. Good mechanics. That's how you get your powers right from your legs. He pushes off real nice. Short whip in the arm. That's what that rubber is. That thing that thing they tow and they stand on up there gives you the push-off power. You can generate. Also, the mound is elevated, so it gives the pitcher an advantage. He can throw downhill. There's the rubber. It's a nice shot. They put their foot on it. They can mend it any way they want with their spikes. They dig it, try to get a comfortable foothold.
Got away from Hinch, and the runners will move up. Well, Harville missed on the first pitch when he came in, but it was blocked by Hinch. This time, Hinch couldn't get it.
Well, Hinch is hurting still, I'm telling you, from his foot. He's hurting a lot. He fouled a ball off his shin bone last night, and it was a real nasty one. He's struggling with that a little bit, and here's the pitch. This is a tough pitch to block. He tries, and you can see him. He lands on that foot, and that hurts. It is his left foot is the one that he injured. And they described the injury as a contusion.
The wild pitch is charged to Harville. 2 runners in scoring position. Foul back out of play.
And Mario, as I looked up in under the medical glossary,
it's a cut,
in the yearbook, a contusion is an injury to a muscle and tissues caused by a blow from a blunt object.
Well, there you go.
I think a baseball is pretty blunt.
That's pretty blunt.
And when it's coming up there around 93 and you foul it off your foot, something's going to happen.
Again, the 3-2. Got him. Low and away, and Harville comes in to strike out Decker. But the Angels take the lead on the RBI single. Angels baseball on Fox Sports Net West is brought to you by AirTouch Cellular, letting you live life on your terms. AirTouch, now you can. By General Motors, makers of Buick. And by Gateway, speaks to 50,000 people a day. Call, click, or come in and connect with us. 5-4 ball game now. The Angels have taken the lead, and Jason Giambi leads it off. Mike Magnante starting his 4th inning of work in this one. He came on in the 5th inning after Tim Belcher left, and you've got to tip your cap tonight to Magnante. The Angels pen has done so well all season long, and Magnante has allowed just 1 hit in 3 innings tonight.
He's doing a fine job. He's spotting that fastball. He's doing it mostly with the fastball. He'll set it up and then put you to sleep with that big roundhouse curveball, as well as a screwball he throws. It's more like a changeup, but it's got a little bit of screwball effect.
There's a ball that's skied to deep center. Garrett Anderson is waiting for it. 1 away. Some changes in the outfield for the Angels. In right field, Reggie Williams will now take over. Garrett Anderson remains in center, and Orlando Palmeiro moves to left field. And Darren Erstad will move from left to first, with Mo Vaughn being taken out of the ballgame. And speaking of being taken out, Terry Collins will make a pitching change, but what a job by Mike Magnante. The Angels lead it 5-4, and we'll see Shigetoshi Hasegawa. Mike Magnante turns in his longest outing of the season, 3 1/3 innings tonight, but he also got some help from his defense this evening.
Help from his friends. There's leather everywhere. Garrett Edison early makes a nice play off the track for Belcher, and then Gloss gets his uniform dirty, and Mo applies the tag, and Erstad leaves his feet and flashes some severe leather right there. And that's what they say. Pitching and defense will win you titles.
And we'd like to welcome those viewers on FX. Hope you're enjoying Angels baseball tonight. Shigetoshi Hasegawa is the new Angels right-hander in now. Hasegawa, 35 innings of work, 15 walks, 24 strikeouts. What a great year he had last year. And Terry Collins said before the game that Seattle series really helped out Hasegawa because he had to pitch a few innings. And the ball game's up in Seattle, and he needs his work. 1 ball, no strikes on John Jaha. You know, when the starting pitching is going so good, Rex, sometimes it's hard to get work for the relievers.
That's a nice problem to have. Collins is not a bit unhappy with that situation, because that's what you want your starting pitchers to go as long as they can. Fortunately, that's been a bright spot this year.
1 ball and 2 strikes now on John Jaha, and that's where Hasegawa wants to keep it. He is very effective in that area. He will induce the ground ball.
What's nice is that they are facing the meat of the order right here in the top of the 8th inning. So they won't have to face these big sluggers in the 9th.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Jaha is hitless lifetime against Hasegawa. Although he's only had 4 at bats, he is 0 for 4. He walked back in the 2nd, also bounced into a double play later in the ball game. 0 for 2 officially. And Shige just missed at the knees, but a little bit outside and low. 3-2.
That's exactly where you want to put that fastball, away from Jaha, so he can't get his hands out, and Decker does a nice job of holding it right there.
The 3-2, ball 4. So the tying run is aboard now in a 5-4 ball game.
Matt Stairs be up, and he's a dangerous hitter.
Well, another Japanese pitcher won tonight. Hideo Nomo improved his record to 6-1. The Brewers beat the Pirates 7-4, and what a pickup Nomo has been for the Brewers.
Speaking of pickups, they're going to pick up Jaha right now at first base and get a speedier runner in there.
So pinch runner in now for the Oakland A's. Tim Hudson. So Hudson will pinch run.
He's going to have to be careful with Matt Stairs, who has home run power. Stairs has 15 bombs already this year. Going to try to stay away from a galactical blast here if they can help it.
1 ball and no strikes. Hudson is a pitcher, a starting pitcher, getting a pinch hitting role tonight. I'm sorry, pinch running. Stairs fouls it off. 1 ball, 1 strike. I doubt he would get a pinch hitting role.
No, I don't think he would unless he was Omar Oliveras, who could really swing the bat. But he just got called off the pine, right? And he's cold and stiff, but he's trying to get himself loose over there. Pitchers in the American League don't run the bases very often, but apparently he's one of their better athletes.
Hasegawa misses low again, and the count goes to 2-1. It's the year 2021 at Edison Field tonight. Turn ahead the clock night. And you see the futuristic uniforms being worn by the Angels and the A's. Matt Stairs, 15 home runs this year, got a ball up, and he fouled it off. 2-2.
Oh man, and he dodged a bullet there. You throw Matt Stairs a ball up in that range, you could be backing up a base or you can touch them all there, and he just missed that with a nice swing.
The pinch runner at first base, Hudson. Matt Stairs out of St. John, New Brunswick, 31 years of age. Played on the Canadian Olympic team back in 1988. And Hasegawa misses again. 3-2 now. The count is full.
He is all around that plate. Dick Pohl's kind of questioning where that call is to Rocky Road. And this pitch catches a little bit of the corner, but it's just outside, and Rocky decides not to give it to him, and that'll get his old roommate Terry Collins stirred up in that dugout a little.
The 3-2 pitch fouled off. Count remains full.
Remember, Terry Collins and Rocky Road were roommates at Eastern Michigan University back in the college day. And they've had a few on the field arguments as well, Collins told me.
Well, after that story you told earlier tonight, it's no surprise.
He's still a little bitter.
Swing and a miss. Got him on strikes, and a big strikeout for Hasegawa. 2 gone now. Stairs grumbles back to the bench.
This swing is a little long. He pulls his head off a little bit. Pitch tracks is going to show you where the location was. It was down and away, which is a super pitch from Hasegawa. Dick Pohl's out there. They're going to talk about it a little bit. Hasegawa speaks very good English, so it makes it easier to translate when you're out there on the mound.
Former Rookie of the Year in the Japanese leagues was Hasegawa. In fact, Matt Stairs, the man he just struck out, also spent some time in Japan playing for Chunichi. Different game over there, isn't it?
Sure is. And Stairs came over the year I was there, 93. He sure did. And it's a different league over there, that's for sure.
A.J. Hinch, his first at bat tonight. 1 ball and no strikes.
You can see that pad he has on his shin from last night. Took a foul ball right off it, and a solid shot he took, and he went down, stayed in there and struck out, and then didn't come back out.
Popped him up foul, and the count 1 ball 1 strike. Hinch batting only 183, and Hinch pressed into duty tonight. He has 3 home runs this year. Talk about the young players that Oakland has. Hinch only 25 years of age. He was drafted by the White Sox in the 2nd round in '92, but decided to go to college instead. And Hasegawa misses down low.
And you'll notice Hasegawa will walk off the mound and lick his fingers to get a little grip. You're not allowed to lick your fingers anywhere on the dirt surface of the mound. If you do, you get caught, it's a ball. They'll automatically put a ball up on the board.
Swing and a miss. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Hinch now.
He took a little bit off of that. Made it sink. Hasegawa is very effective. See him, he likes to lick those fingers. He has tremendous mechanics if you'll watch him. Steve Decker is going to give him that off-speed pitch sign.
He wouldn't chase it, and the count fills at 3-2 now.
He's been running the hitters to 3-2. And with 2 outs, he'll automatically send the runner. It was Tim Hudson, a pitcher, and Art Howe brought on to pinch run.
Hudson measuring his lead. Erstad plays behind him. And the runner will go on 3-2, and it's strike 3 called right at the knees of A.J. Hinch. And Hasegawa comes out of the pen to put out the fire. Terry Collins very excited about Shigetoshi Hasegawa. So is Dick Pohl. It's a 5-4 game. Bottom of the 8th inning, Angels lead the A's 5-4 in the middle game in this series. And coming up Thursday at 4:30 on Fox Sports Net West, it's Baseball Thursday. The Detroit Tigers against Derek Jeter and the New York Yankees. The Yankees battling the Red Sox for first place in the American League's East Division. And a tall task for the Detroit Tigers. Well, Shigetoshi Hasegawa able to pitch through the 8th. A couple of big strikeouts. And the Angels batting in the bottom half of the 8th inning now. With the bullpen tonight for the Angels, McNante and Hasegawa. Outstanding work.
No doubt. They've combined with some good defensive plays out there by the defensive specialist. Chad Harville is pitching. Gotta like this guy throwing 97 to 98 miles an hour. I mean, at times that's what they've clocked him at.
Well, you've got to go back to the 4th inning for the last A's hit in this game. A single by Ryan Christensen. Roy Gloss with a check swing. They want the appeal. And finally, John Hirschbeck said, yep, he went around.
There's Gloss. He definitely goes on that pitch, and they checked it. And John was making the right call.
The 0-2. Strike 3 call. Gloss is caught looking. One away in the 8th inning. Gloss can't believe that call. And he looks back now at Rocky Road. You make the call.
Well, it's actually because Hintz dropped it. It's not a bad looking pitch, but because the pitcher, I mean because the catcher AJ Hinch didn't catch it, you know, it appeared to be a bad pitch, but with 2 strikes you got to hack, man.
Palmeiro pops it up. Tejada back to the grass, and there are 2 out. And here is Gary DiSarcina now. Troy Percival heating up in the Angels pen, and he will come into the ball game in the 9th. Well, you talk about outstanding efforts this year. Troy Percival has been almost unhittable. He'll get another chance tonight. DiSarcina knocked in a run in the 6th. That tied it at 4. The Angels got another run in the 7th to go ahead. Garrett Anderson's RBI single the difference in this one right now as the Angels lead 5-4. One ball and no strikes. Down low. DiSarcina came in with 2 hits in 10 at bats into this ball game, and then he singled in a run in the 6th inning, which turned out to be a huge play. That was the play that resulted in Decker being thrown out at the plate. That would have been the 2nd run. And DiSarcina way ahead in the count now with Erstad waiting on deck. Harville came on in the 7th. He's picked up a couple of strikeouts. The hard throwing right-hander. Gary taking all the way, and that's ball 4, missing outside. And another walk witnessed by Art Howe. Here is Erstad now. The Angels tonight have 10 hits. The A's have been limited to just 6. Darren had a big double in the 7th inning. In fact, he started that 7th inning and came around with a go-ahead run later on the RBI single by Garrett Anderson. In his last 15 games, he has really picked up the pace. DiSarcina back in. The average now for Darren up to 252.
Slow climb. That's what it is. Nice and steady. But he's doing it by being selective and not going up there and swinging at the pitcher's pitch.
Harville throws a strike. Well, Harville is getting that low strike, something that Hasegawa was not getting in the top half of the 8th inning.
Well, I'm going to tell you, it happens. I mean, the umpires aren't perfect. They're going to miss calls. They're not going to make the calls the same way. But the major complaint and what you want as a player is for them to be consistent. Give it to both teams. And I hear those arguments in the dugout all the time. And that ball looked like it just split the plate in half. So there are some umpires who will miss a call, and I've heard them say to the catcher, hey, I missed that one, I'll make it up somewhere along the line.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, they're human. They're gonna miss. It's not perfect, but I'll tell you what, the umpires do a better job of officiating than any of the other professional sports. These guys are right 98% of the time, 97% of the time, and you give them a few percentage points for human error. There is as big a part of the game as the players are, as the fans are, as we are up here calling the game.
1 ball, 1 strike on Erstad. DiSarcina scampers back into the bag. So if you're a hitter at home plate and you hear the umpire tell the catcher, look, I missed that one, I'll get you somewhere down the line, you better be ready to swing, is what you're saying.
That, or you look back and say, hey, could you please do it to another hitter? Make it the next batter, not me.
Make it further on down the line.
That's right. Well, the umpires have their own certain zones, no matter what the league tells them to do. They have their own zones and they'll call it. I mean, Frank Pulley in the National League, he had a real big zone and everybody knew it. You had to swing if you had 2 strikes. But in the year 2021, there'll be robots calling the game anyway.
Well, there could be, yeah. You might be right there. Could be robots announcing as well. You never know. Here's the ball hit to second. Phillips off to his left. And Erstad is out of there. And the side is retired. Nothing doing for the Angels in the 8th. We go to the 9th, and here comes Troy Percival. It's 5-4 Angels. We go to the top of the 9th inning with the Angels holding on to a 1-run lead, 5-4 Anaheim. And don't forget, coming up after the ball game on Fox Sports News, the Rangers and Mariners closing down the Kingdome. The Spurs return home, an NBA title, and day 6 of Wimbledon. That's all coming up. Coming up here, Troy Percival. And Big Troy in search of another save. It would be his 21st of the year. And a very good ERA this season, and the stat that really sticks out on Percival, opposing batters hitting only .112 against him.
What about those only 8 walks and 32 punch-outs?
Another pretty good stat. Eric Chavez leads it off in the 9th. Ground ball right side, base hit. And Chavez going after the first pitch fastball. Singles to right field, so the tying run is on now.
That's going to bring up my old teammate Tim Raines. Is going to pinch hit.
Terry Collins looks over the lineup card for the A's. Tim Raines now will bat for Christensen, the number 9 hitter. 1979 was a long time ago. And since that time, a lot of big numbers posted by Tim Raines.
Oh, fine player. Still a good hitter. Just doesn't play as much as he used to. And he's got a lot of mileage, and he's up there and amongst the world's best stolen base leaders. He's 1 for 6 with a home run in his career against Percival.
The 1-0 popped him up. Left side of the infield. DeSarcina says, "I'll take it," and he does. So Raines is retired. Chavez back to first. Percival gets the first out here in the 9th. Here's Tony Phillips coming in now.
This should be a good at-bat here. It's Tony Phillips. He's a good fastball hitter, and he likes the ball down. Percy's going to try to have to blow him away with fastballs up in the zone.
Phillips worked a walk back in the 4th inning. He also has a double tonight, 1 for 3. Up high, 1 ball and no strikes. Troy Percival facing Tony Phillips here with the tying run at first base. Percival squinting in, looking for the sign. Phillips again takes 2 balls and no strikes.
Percy's throwing mid-90s. It's hard to hit when it's up in the zone. It can be hit when it's down.
Troy Percival 16 saves in his last 19 ball games. There's a swing and a miss. Phillips saw one that he liked.
And that pitch was up, and that's how you're going to get him out right there. If you bring that ball down about 3 inches lower, Tony Phillips will hit that. So he needs to stay right in that area on Phillips in order to retire him.
Troy Percival's ERA, by the way, in his last 19 ball games, 0.49. Second in the league in saves. The 2-1 to Phillips. There's a strike call by Rocky Road. 2-2.
Steve Decker set up outside and made that pitch look good.
Phillips, as he normally does, making the pitcher wait. Chavez edging off the bag at first. Percival now with 128 career saves, recently breaking the Angels saves record. Passing up Brian Harvey. Bouncing ball towards second. Velarde to second one. The relay. Double play. Troy Percival comes on in the ninth. Gives up the leadoff single to Chavez. But the twin killing gives the Angels their second consecutive win in the series. And the middle relief tonight, very big for the Angels.
No doubt, and I'm happy to say that Mike Magnante is getting the player of the game tonight for going 3 1/3 innings with just giving up 1 hit and no runs. Hats off to you, Mike. Nice job.
And Terry Collins has watched his ball club now post 5 wins in their last 6 games as the Angels take game 2 in this 3-game series. So for Rex Hudler, I'm Mario Impemba saying so long from Edison Field, where the final score is the Angels 5 and the A's 4. Be sure to join us again Monday night as the Angels host the Texas Rangers. Coverage begins at 6:30. You've been watching Anaheim Angels coverage on Fox Sports Net West. Now we take you to the Fox Network Center for Fox Sports News Primetime.